to again thank you all for joining us. Reggie, Brother Kyle, we see you, brothers. Shalom to you as well. I thank the Most High for that you're joining us. We're going to continue with this series, and this series is just it's continuing all the way from, you know, when we had the conference with Seventh Day, and this is still uprooting Christianity. And let me share my screen. Y'all get cold, y'all can drop that air. I'll be all right. So let me share my screen so the family is with us. So we're continuing with textual criticism, and this is textual criticism part 3. And y'all willing, we're going to finish the Old Testament today, because I haven't said it in a long time, but I used to say it all the time when we get together. The information I share is really just like, so most times the information I share is just a tip of the iceberg to get you started. So if I shared all the resources I had on these topics, we would be on the same topic for months. So we're going to end the textual criticism of the Old Testament today, y'all willing. And then if y'all wills it, we'll go into textual criticism of the New Testament next week, next Saturday. And this is all part of uprooting Christianity. And we're trying to show everyone, not just Israelites, we're trying to show everyone that if you take a step back and come out from among the crowd, we have ancient documents from Israelites and Gentiles that there's nothing inside Christianity that can be found inside the Bible. There's nothing in Christianity that can be found inside the Bible. And this is a love mission. This is a love mission. This is not like one of those, let's beat the Christians down, let's just destroy them and embarrass them, because that's not what it's about. It's about doing the work of Yah. But like Nariah opened up with the Kathab reading, Matthew chapter 10, Hamashiach, the king himself, he says, don't think that I'm coming into this world. Don't think that I took a demotion to come down here and be around filthy, uncircumcised people to bring peace on this earth. Hamashiach himself, our king, says, I'm coming to bring a sword, a division. So, fam, I don't care how you present this information. Most of the assemblies we fellowship with, are very I don't want to say soft, very, what's another word, or very light with their reserved. That's a beautiful word. Most of the assemblies that we fellowship with, they're reserved with their reproach and trying to be very diplomatic and very tactful. None of us are out here cussing people out and just, so whether you have the so-called air quotes camp style of delivery, or you have the sweetest, softest delivery, it's what you're delivering that's going to cut people. It's the word of the Most High. It's the Son telling you, I'm bringing division. And uprooting Christianity is deeper than just exposing Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving. That's the, I guess I would say that's the extrinsic part. That's things we can see blatantly. This is not in the Torah. This is not what the apostles was teaching. So everyone easily identified. Halloween is pagan. Thanksgiving is pagan. Sunday is pagan. Christmas is super pagan. But there's other parts of Christianity for us who are more mature, those of us who are ahead of the bunch. We still have some Christianity in us. And it's not a slight, it's not an attack, it's just the facts of the case. However long you stayed inside that religion, it's going to take that much longer to get it all up out of you. So uprooting Christianity, we want to just erase all traces of Christianity. And one of the most, I guess one of the greatest, it was genius. I have to applaud these people. It was genius. One of the greatest things they presented in Christianity is love. If you love me, you love your master, don't you? Your master feeds you, don't you? Your master don't whoop you like other masters whoop you, right? No, so if you love your master, why you keep trying to run away? Now, we got people so-called trying to be Bereans and so-called trying to be detectives, and they throw smoke screens out there to make it seem like we're all about a black and white issue. And every time one of us Israelites with tact and with class present the truth and they can't refute the truth, they want to throw that color thing in there. Oh, there y'all go with that black thing again. And that's a trick of the enemy. None of us at the Torah Group and none of the ones we fellowship with on the set apart assemblies, I know we got 7-Day Harvest, we got my brother Better Day Ministries, we have Kadosh Culture, we have our brothers in Charlotte, I forget my aunt's name, his ministry name out in Charlotte, Ken and his wife. None of us are caring about any color. But that's what the smoke screen that these apologists come up with, these smoke screens when they can't refute the truth. That nothing you got inside church, nothing that you're calling Christianity is what our apostles were presenting. So one of the greatest tricks of Christianity was to domesticate the lions of Judah. Take big, strong men who can rip your face off and say, hey, you're supposed to love me. I just smacked you. You're supposed to love me. I just sold your son away. You're supposed to love me. And that's part of Christianity that you don't find in the text. I say all the time, Christianity has given the world a God. I use the pagan term because I don't want to lose people. Christianity has given the world a God that you can't find in the Bible. And when we bring up this stuff, y'all stay in our Old Testament because we stay in the old because the new is based on the old. The new is rehearsing the old. And what I'm getting at, Christianity doesn't know our power. Christianity doesn't know our king. Because what happened when Elijah, those little children were making fun of Elijah, family?
He prayed against them and bears came and ate them.
Little children was making fun of Elijah, and Elijah the prophet, he didn't say, oh, these children don't know no better. Father, bless them. They don't know no better. They're just being children. Elijah says, Father, curse these children. And a bear, right after Elijah prayed, a bear came and ate these children. And these children most likely were Israelite children because he was going through Israelite towns. So Christianity would say, that wasn't love. You're praying God destroy people. That ain't love. You're supposed to pray for your enemies. And if you don't come back to the culture, you don't know what pray for your enemies means. It's praying for enemies within the nation. If you done had a gripe against a brother or sister, I pray for him. Father, help me to love my brother. Father, help me to forgive my brother. Elijah prayed to kill these children, and a bear came and killed these children. So Christianity has given the world a Messiah and a Father, a God that is not inside these scrolls. When you come back to our culture and you come back to the Hebraic understanding, there's no soft and pacifist Israelite. King David himself wrote beautiful songs by the spirit of Hamashiach. He wrote beautiful songs that we sing and we rehearse. They're chanted like you hear the Muslims chanting. So those are songs in rhythm. But King David was one of the most mightiest warriors this world has ever seen. That's the stock we come from. So for these brothers, these apologists, these Christians, Orthodox, and all these titles they take, it's only so much we're going to let you say about our Messiah. It's only so much we're going to let you say about our Father. There's only so much we're going to let you say about our apostles. That's why I was telling you, family, we can't go out here and destroy people. We got to wait for Messiah. But for anyone to think that Messiah is coming down and to redeem us and we all, oh, I made it, hallelujah, let's go. No, Judah is the battle axe. Judah is the battle axe. And to show you what I'm talking about, that Christianity has given us a fake, false religion, false belief system. Let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32, is it? Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Exodus 32 and verse 25. People have no idea what this book is really talking about. No idea. And it's Christianity to blame. The apostles and Messiah himself was not practicing, they were not promoting Christianity, and we're going to show you today. Exodus chapter 32, and can you pick it up at verse 25? Read.
And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on Yahweh's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim of Yasha'al, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother.
Every man is what?
His brother.
Every man is what?
His brother. And every man his companion, and every man his neighbor.
Okay, so every man his brother, and then his companion. What is his companion?
Friend.
His woman, his friend. Everyone who was down here dancing naked in front of this golden calf, Uncle Masha said, whoever's on your side, gird up and put your sword, and let's run through these people. These people were not pagans. These people were not non-Israelites. These people were blood-born Israelites. That's why we're not pushing it's all about a bloodline. None of us, let me try to stay civil, family. All of us righteous Israelites know it's more than a bloodline. It has to be obedience. So here we got Uncle Masha in the beginning of us coming out of Egypt, telling us everybody's on the Most High side, put your sword on, and let's run through these wicked Israelites who was dancing in front of this golden calf. That's who we come from, family. That's the stock we are. It's not about what you look like. It's not about your skin color. It's not about if you come from Jacob. It's about, do you have the heart of obedience? Christianity missing that. We can agree to disagree. No, if you say the law is done, we can't agree to disagree. You're a devil. And your time is running short. You telling people ain't nothing wrong with eating swine, your time is running short. And guess who's going to be the one to take you out? Your own brother. Your own brother. It's going to be us. So while you listen to these social media superstars and they condescending and scoffing the Israelites, it's going to be those that we have to take out. Those in your own house, your mother, your brother, your father, those who look like you, you're going to have to kill them. Not spiritually, physically. That's where we come from.
This goes to the Jew first and the Gentile.
Come.
Because if we are being called by the Most High's name, and we are to spread his name or experience or reputation in the earth, we can't do that if we have people in the assembly out here wilding and doing what our ancestors doing out here, dancing naked to pagan gods. So when they see us, that reputation is going to proceed just like with some of the camps out here. They're defiling the name by having different doctrines, carrying themselves in an aggressive, abusive type way. Mm-hmm. And when they see one of us, they have that same preconceived notion in mind for all of us, and that defiles the name. So this is right on time right here.
All praises. So let's get a second witness that righteous Israelites, we are warriors. Let's go to our second witness. Let's go to Nehemiah or Nehemiah. Nehemiah or Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 4, and let's pick it up at verse 17. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 17. And the backstory while he's getting ready, the backstory is Nehemiah and Ezra, they're rebuilding the temple, they're rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem. They're rebuilding our wall first. And I want you to hear what happens as we rebuild the wall. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 17. Read.
They which build it on the wall, and they that bear burdens with those that laden, every one with one of his hands wrought in the work, and with the other hand held a weapon.
Held a what?
Held a weapon.
Held a what?
Held a weapon.
So we're coming back home. Nehemiah got permission, got blessing of the Persian king. God gave him favor, and the Persian king says, go home to your hometown and see what's going on. Nehemiah gets to Judah and he starts weeping and tearing his clothes because that's a Hebrew custom. Nehemiah saw that the gate all tore down. He saw the bushes all overrunning, and he says, Father, give us the strength and give us the favor to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And those nations around who hates us, they started to scoff at us. Like, what do y'all think y'all doing? And then they started to try to hinder the work. Here, our elders is working with one hand and I'm watching out with a sword in the other hand. This is real work we doing. This clown talking about block work. This is real block work Judah does. You don't know what block work is. The Israelites, we put in real block work. We're rebuilding our wall, and on the other hand, we got a sword in. Right now, you and I, we are spiritually rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem right in captivity. So it's going to become time in captivity that we're going to have to put hands on people. It's just not our call to say when. That's when some of our brothers are premature. Yes, physical work is going to be done to these pagans, whether you're blue, black, or Casper white. It don't matter about your appearance. If you're wicked, telling people that the laws are done, you're going to be physically dealt with. But it's not up to us to decide when this happens. Some of the brothers are premature. Here's our elders doing work, real work, and ready to go to war. Read on.
Verse 18, for the builders, everyone had his sword girded by his side, and so building. And he that sounded the trumpet was by me. And I said unto the nobles, and to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, the work is great and large, and we are separated upon the wall, one far from another. In what place, therefore, ye hear the sound of the trumpet,
The shofar,
resort ye thither unto us. Our Elohim, or our power, shall fight for us.
who's going to fight for us?
Our power.
Who?
Yah, our power shall fight for us.
To all my Christian family and friends who are scoffing at the Israelite awakening, SELAH, let me correct myself. To all these apologists and these Christians out here with your social media, and you think you're coming against us, you're coming against our Father. What do you think our Father's going to do with you? Read on.
Verse 21. So we labored in the work, and half of them held the spear from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared.
You can underline, that's another witness how we start our day. You see how the Most High works? We don't have to argue with people. Produce your witnesses. Whatever topic we're put your emotions in your pocketbook. Put your emotions in your pocketbook and just give me witnesses. I don't care what topic it is. I don't have no pride in this walk. If I get something wrong, show me the witnesses. I'm like, thank you. Let me correct this. I'm not no sky embarrassed about getting something wrong. But you're not going to ram anything down my throat because you got some brothers with you, because you got some, hey, miss me with that. You're dealing with the wrong Israelite. We are warriors and it's wartime. Give me your witnesses for anything you bring in. Here's another witness that our days start in sunrise. Read on.
Verse 22. Likewise, at the same time said I unto the people, let every one with his servant lodge within Jerusalem, that in the night they may be a guard to us and labor on the day.
They're going to be a guard doing when?
Night.
And labor doing when?
The day.
Why they not working at night?
Can't see.
No man works at the night. Come on, family. Read on.
Verse 23. So neither I, nor my brethren, nor my servants, nor the men of the guard which followed me, none of us put off our clothes, saving that everyone put them off for washing.
We had on the same clothes every day and only took them off to go to the river to wash. So when it's time to work, we ain't worried about is my shoes dirty. We're not worried about I got the same jeans on for 5 days. It's time to put in work for the Father. Now I missed a verse. I missed one verse. Let's go back to 19, or maybe I didn't hear it. Let's go back to 19 real quick. I want to point something out.
Verse 19, Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 19. And I said unto the nobles and to the rulers.
To who?
And to the rulers.
The nobles and rulers. Who is that, family? That's the line of David. It's the kings putting in work. It's the kings helping build the wall and fight. So any of these super duper deep mores out here, oh, I can't work because I got to teach this good lesson and you got to support my ministry and donate your super chat so I can keep studying. Here's the royal line of Judah. Here's our priests working. Anybody out here ain't working in this captivity because they got to study and teach, they're devils. You're fleecing the people. Here's our royal bloodline. Here's our priests. They're working and ready to fight for the nation. Christianity has missed this. Christianity has given us a religion. It's passive. You love me, man. Yeah, I'm embarrassing you. Yeah, I'm scoffing you. Yeah, I'm trying to belittle you because you don't have seminary. But we let's just agree to disagree. No, you're leading my brothers and sisters down a wrong path. It's wartime. I'm not going to be laughing on social media with you. No, it's nothing all about us. It's wartime, and any of these superstar social media people scoffing at this awakening. Now they're trying to push this law on people. They're trying to say I'm going to hell if I eat my pork. We ain't saying you're going to hell. The Most High saying you're going to hell. But they gloss over all these scriptures. That's Christianity, family. That's what we're here to deal with. Textual criticism, how to read our scrolls with these defiled bread. We know this by heart now. Deuteronomy 4:2. Can you read that for us?
Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it.
That's the great I am saying that. That's not any of these Hebrew assemblies. That's the words of the Father. So when you think you turn to the New Testament and now Paul is saying all meats are good, you're taking it out of context. Messiah didn't say all meats were good, meaning every physical animal was good. It's this metaphor. All of us raised as Americans, right? I hate to say that, but if we read a recipe that says this cake needs 3 whole eggs, what are you going to do, Al? You're going to crack 3 eggs and put the recipe said 3 whole eggs, though, Al. You ain't following directions.
It's like assumed.
It's assumed, because we know English, we assuming that this recipe ain't calling for eggshells in this cake. That's what's happening in the New Testament. Hamashiach didn't always have to say all meats are acceptable, pigs and everything too, because he's talking to Israelites. They know Hamashiach ain't talking about no pig is clean, a good food to eat. You have to kick it. You have to keep it in context. And Christianity has taken the Hebraic context out of the scripture. You paint our Father and our King like schizophrenic. My law should stand forever, but now my son is telling that you can eat everything. So let's get into it, family. Can we go to Matthew 23, verses 13 through 39? Matthew chapter 23. Matthew chapter 23. Start preparing in your mind, family, if you're going to lose your son, you're going to lose your daughter. You're going to have, these people are getting blazed up, and y'all say what y'all want. Y'all can scoff at these so-called conspiracy theories, but just like what's that movie with the brother Will Smith?
Independence Day?
No, his dog had got big.
Legend.
I'm Legend. These blazes is going to turn people into zombies. And they can control you just like we control our computers by clicks. So your son or daughter getting glazed up, and you're going over trying to witness to them, or just, I'm just gonna go over Thanksgiving so I can give them some truth. And the government might hit the button while you're there. The son or daughter you birthed, now it's jumping on you. What do you think I'm gonna do? 40 cow, I got something for you. That's where people think, oh man, they're crazy. You hear them talk? That's where we're at, family. You ever heard of the ancient, the books want to call it a Catholicism. Y'all ever heard of a centaur? Y'all know what a centaur is?
It's like a mixed,
Horse.
Top is a man and the bottom is a horse. Now, as a kid read these stories, wow, no. That's why I love these writings of ours. When you go back and read Enoch and read Jasher Jubilees, it said the fallen angels started corrupting the Most High's creatures. They started this interbreeding and this mixing bloodline. So these creatures did exist. Like we said before, y'all imaginations ain't that sharp.
Yeah, check
I
that.
think that.
Check this, because I wasn't gonna say anything, but you literally said the word. So I was reading Septuagint as I was telling y'all when we first came in. And I was reading Isaiah chapter 14 in the left-hand version. And I'm just gonna read, this is just the judgment of division against Babylon. Excuse me, it was Isaiah chapter 13.
This is another contradiction.
God, just listen to the wording. I'm just gonna read a couple verses talking about Babylon, verses 19 through 22. And Babylon, which is called esteemed from the king of the Chaldeans, will be the way Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It will not be inhabited for eternity, nor will they enter it for many generations. Nor will Arabians go through it, nor will shepherds by any means rest in it. And wild animals will rest there, and the houses will be filled with sound, and sirens will rest there, and divine beings will dance there. Verse 22, and donkey centaurs will settle there, and hedgehogs will make dens among their houses. It is coming quickly and will not delay.
What chapter was that?
That was chapter 13, verses 19 through 22 in the Lexham edition. That's literally what I read yesterday.
And the KJV got some crap, doleful creatures.
Yeah.
That's another one. That's another one. That's why we got to go through all these books. That's why we got to go through textual criticism, because that's a perfect example how people think they're debating and cutting you down and correcting you, and you're reading from a corrupted text. I had a digital conversation or digital exchange with a brother on the Hamdas post, and I just asked the brother, I said, can you tell me who produced the most recent Bible, and who produced the first Bible? And can you tell me who composed or compiled the so-called New Testament? What that got to do with what we're talking about? You're talking about scripture. What do you mean? You see how we're coming, once you get to a certain point, you ever grew up with a cousin or a friend, y'all grew up balling together, but then he got sidetracked and you kept going, and now you're better than him and you really can't play with him no more? That's what happened in this walk. Y'all seen it, people come in excited, throwing the fringes on, learning the words, but then job takes me out. I got a new job, I can't meet every Shabbat. So now we keep growing, we're doing textual criticism like, Jeremiah 17:9, and don't talk about the heart. What are you talking about? I'm giving you Bible. It's in the Bible. That's good Bible. That's what the Christians say. Oh, that's good Bible right there. You a coon, that ain't no good Bible. That's corrupted scripture. So we're going to be the oddball, family, and I'm happy with it. I embrace it. I'm not following the crowd so we can have fellowship. Thank you for that verse. Let's go into Matthew 23, verse 13. It's wartime. Matthew 23, verses 13 through 39. We're going to finish the chapter. Read.
But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor.
You see how the Messiah is telling these Pharisees and scribes, y'all telling somebody who's, if you swear against the temple is nothing, but if you swear against the altar, then it's like Messiah is telling them what we're telling the Christians. What you see ain't making sense. Read it again. Watch this.
Verse 16 of Matthew 23. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor.
Messiah is like, y'all telling people, so Messiah is throwing their oral law back at them. The Messiah he's been around, he knows what these Pharisees, these Talmudists are teaching. He's saying, y'all teaching people, if you swear against the temple, the building is nothing, but don't swear against the gold inside the temple. So a piece of gold inside the temple is greater than the temple. That's what we're telling these Christians. You're telling us we can eat everything now that we're in the new covenant, but Hamashiach is coming. Isaiah 66, he says, for the Lord will come. That means future. And he's going to kill everyone eating swine's flesh. But you can eat anything in the New Testament. Messiah is telling these Pharisees, these scribes, what y'all teaching with your oral law is not making sense. And that's what we're trying to tell these Christians. What y'all are teaching is making no sense. Read on.
Verse 17. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar, sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And whoso shall swear by the temple, sweareth by it, and by him that dwelleth therein.
Who dwells in the temple?
The Spirit of God.
The Most High God. He's pretty much calling y'all fools. Y'all straight dumb.
Y'all glorifying the money over the ones who can sanctify the money.
This is how Messiah is addressing the scribes and Pharisees. Woe to them. Read on.
Verse 22. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of Elohim or Yah, and by him that sitteth thereon. Woe unto ye, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters.
Oh, no, right. You can't be adding stuff. You pay tithes of gold and silver.
Verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin.
Not money. You see how Christianity do people? This pastor, y'all been in church, they give you a 40-minute pep rally when it's time for offering. And y'all done went out shopping Saturday. I see some of y'all in the mall. I see your bags. Now it's time to give it to the God's house now. He only asking 10%. Well, Dr. Seminary, may I ask a question?
Need some of these seasonings real quick. You don't want that.
This is Messiah talking.
Give you some cumin and some.
Messiah is saying you tithe anise and cumin. He didn't say silver and gold. You see how Christianity got us messed up?
Well, we know today we got to use the dollar.
Yeah. I would add too. I would add too, in addition to what y'all talking about, earlier this week I was reading in Deuteronomy 14, and it not only talks about clean and unclean food, but it also talks about the tithe. And the tithe of our forefathers, it was for the Levites, and it was food. It wasn't money, because they were to be given to the service of the Most High for the people. And so that's a lot of deception, like you're talking about in Christianity. And I thought of something else that was really interesting in reading, because I always thought, like, why doesn't he want us to eat pig, and why he want us to eat certain animals? And I looked up why cows chew cud and what cud is, and they go through this process called rumination, which means they have certain parts in their body and their digestive system where they actually chew grass when they take it in, and once they chew it, they spit it back up so that they can chew it again, and it goes through this digestive tract that they have, in which they have like 4 parts, and then when they release it, it goes into the ground and it acts as a fertilizer. So they're not only, the Most High not only use them as something that we can eat, and it has, like, it doesn't have the bad stuff in it, but also it helps replenish the earth. That's why one reason whenever we go back into the land, he said cattle and everything like that is going to be there, because it's going to help build up those desolate lands. And I was like, man, like, he's so, like, precise. He's so deep. And also the pigs, they eat their own excrement. They eat trash. They eat anything. And if we intake the pigs, we intake all those diseases. And I was talking to Nariah about a year or so ago. We were talking about it, and he was sending me some stuff. And that's why people get diseases. That's why people get cancers, because over time they continue to eat this swine. So the Most High was trying to keep us from getting sick. He was trying to keep our people from harming themselves by eating these unclean animals. So that's one reason why he wanted us to eat beef and other animals that he deemed clean. He had a bigger purpose for it than what we realize. So to your point, Christianity been teaching us lies, and he did not contradict himself in the so-called New Testament.
Yeah, but you've been indoctrinated. You part of a cult now. You done went to YouTube University, and that ain't what the Bible. That ain't good Bible. That ain't good Bible.
So here is a little bit of good Bible that a lot of people overlook, especially in the Christian scene. And this, when I read this for the first time, it was like, wait a minute, man. This is pretty much cut and dry. So there is a offering that we make by money that the nation makes for the upkeep of the tabernacle. But just listen to the words, and it don't get no more cut and dry than this. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 30, verses 11 through 16. And it says, and Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, when you take the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto Yahweh. When you number them, that there be no plague among them, when you number them, this they shall give. Everyone that passes among them that are numbered, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs. A half shekel shall be the offering of Yahweh. Everyone that passes among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto Yahweh. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel, when they give an offering unto Yahweh to make an atonement for your souls. And you shall take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the assembly, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before Yahweh, to make an atonement for your souls.
That's our history. That's our culture.
Yeah, so the only money we give is, for one, it's an atonement, and two, is to upkeep the tabernacle of service. Because you have, imagine how the Most High said He's gonna make our nation more numerous than our
And our
fathers.
fathers.
Now we might not know how much a half a shekel is per se, but billions
Of
of
people,
us potentially
yeah.
given a half a shekel.
That's why a rich man doesn't have to give more than a poor man. It's like we got 12 tribes. So you imagine you crying about giving a half a shekel. It's like, dude, look how much money the Most High bless you with.
Well, the church is the tabernacle now.
This is the history that you don't get in Christianity. These pastors, let's read again about the tithe. This is the New Testament. This is good Bible. This is good Bible. These seminary people talk that ain't good Bible. Let's read some good Bible again about tithe and offering. Matthew 23, what verse is that?
23.
23 and 23.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees. Wait a minute. You talking about that specific?
Yeah,
verse?
that verse 23 about the tithes.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone.
Read on.
Verse 24, ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness or iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. We say that now. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers, ye serpents, ye generation of vipers. How can ye escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them ye shall scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou hast killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of Yahweh.
My goodness, this is so much really to unpack, family. There's a lot of meat on this bone. For the sake of time, I want to highlight a couple of things. Count how many times Hamashiach says, woe, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees. If you try to use a lexicon, they don't even have a match for woe. So woe in the Hebrew is like just like a sound, like, sheesh, you see how Mike Tyson hit him? Like it's like Smokey and Friday when Debo knocked him out. That's what woe is like. Like, you don't even understand what the Most High is going to do to you, scribes and Pharisees. It's like, whoa, like, it's going to be like mouth dropping. And then the other thing I want to highlight while we're here, he says, that's going to be done to this generation. Hamashiach is prophesying over these Pharisees because this generation is not those apostles living. Notice he says, until you say, blessed be he who cometh in the name of the Lord. He's referencing his second coming. So he knows these physical Pharisees are not going to be alive at his second coming. So Hamashiach is prophesying, woe to you scribes and Pharisees. And their scribes and Pharisees, their work is still with us, family. Their work is still with us. And we know them as the Masoretes. We know them as the Masoretes. This Masoretic text we got comes from the scribes and Pharisees. So we're going to go into a couple websites you can find online to give you a couple examples of these scribes and Pharisees that Hamashiach was talking about.
Why you looking at that? I can't remember which book I was reading. I think it was the book of Ezekiel. And it had mentioned that the Most High was going to bring judgment and he was going to make us a hissing. And when I heard it, I was thinking about Debo Friday. When somebody gets knocked out, you like.
That's what, can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? Is it clear? You can hit the light if it is.
So, it's not too bad. Mark, you see it on your computer.
If it is, we can hit the light. Y'all see it?
I think it might be this side.
Yeah, if you hit the light. So we have good Israelite teachers and brothers out there presenting history, and these Christians just scoff at it. But with textual criticism, we're showing them, and this is Israelites too, you can't just start arguing positions and you don't even know whose text you're reading. So this first example that these scribes and Pharisees, known as Talmudists or the Masoretes, they gave us corrupted scriptures. So this is a website online, and you can just type in the Masoretes, and this article is by a ex rabbi, or you see Friar Joseph Gleason. So he's high up in their little fraternity of rabbis and stuff. So this is his article, and it's the Masoretic text versus the original Hebrew, right? So we're going to read this article by Friar Joseph Gleason. Let me try to make it bigger. How does that look? Do you see that? Can you read this article for us?
I used to believe the Masoretic text was a perfect copy of the original Old Testament. I used to believe that the Masoretic text was how God divinely preserved the Hebrew scriptures throughout the ages. I was wrong. The oldest copies of the Masoretic text only date back to the 10th century, nearly 1,000 years after the time of Christ. And these texts differ from the original in many specific ways. The Masoretic text is named after the Masoretes, who were scribes and Torah scholars.
Who we just read about,
Scribes and Pharisees who worked in the Middle East between the 7th and 11th century.
So between the 600s and the 1000, that's when they started doing this work. Read on.
The text they received and the edits they provided.
The what they provided?
The edits they provided ensured that the modern Jewish text would manifest a notable departure from the Hebrew scriptures.
A notable departure from the Hebrew scriptures. These scribes and Pharisees, woe to you scribes and Pharisees. Hamashiach was prophesying against these Masoretes. Read on.
Historical research reveals 5 significant ways in which the Masoretic text is different from the Old Testament, the original Old Testament. The Masoretes admitted that they received corrupted text to begin with. The Masoretic text is written with a radically different alphabet.
It's not written in Hebrew. Read on.
Than the original. The Masoretes added vowel points which did not exist in the original.
Corrupted the Most High's language.
The Masoretic text excluded several books from the Old Testament scriptures.
Wow.
The Masoretic text includes changes to prophecy and doctrine.
What is Deuteronomy 4:2?
Do not add nor take away.
This is what these scribes and Pharisees did. Hamashiach was prophesying against these Talmudists that we call Masoretes. Read on.
Receiving corrupted text. Many people believe that the ancient Hebrew text of scripture was divinely preserved for many centuries and was ultimately recorded in what we now call the Masoretic text. But what did the Masoretes themselves believe?
They testified against their own selves, family. Check this out.
Did they believe they were perfectly preserving the ancient text? Did they even think they had received a perfect text to begin with? History says no. Early rabbinic sources from around 200 CE mention several passages of scripture in which the conclusion is inevitable that the ancient reading must have differed from that of the present text. Rabbi Simon ben Pazi, 3rd century,
200s,
calls these readings
emendations
of the scribes,
Tikkun
Sephirim, Midrash Genesis Rabbi, assuming that the scribes actually made the changes. This view was adopted by the later Midrash and by the majority of the Masoretes.
The rabbis started writing Midrash into the margins, and then slowly, well, y'all, I mean, I know we're a couple years apart, but y'all remember that saying, you let the devil ride?
No.
He gonna want to drive.
And I ain't heard now.
That's the old school. If you let the devil ride, eventually he's gonna want to drive. So they started subtly. It's like abusers. And if anyone been abused, just pardon me, I don't want to offend one, but an abuser don't come right away on first night and punch his girl in the face. No, he eases it into it. First is little stuff, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're getting hit. That's what these Masoretes did. First, I'm just gonna put a little notes in the margin. It's midrash. I'm giving some explanation of it. But soon they got so bold because no one's checking them. Now I'm putting this midrash over top of the original. That's what we're reading with these Masoretic texts. So that's what got the seminary and some of these Israelites coming against you and I think they're correcting or shooting you down. You don't even know whose words you're reading. The whole point of this, and I forgot to put this disclaimer out there, if you're new in the faith or you're weak-minded, this is really not a study for you. Because we're not telling you to burn your Bible and have you run down next week. You're with the Kemetic people telling, yeah, the Israelites, their Bible's corrupted. That's not what this series is about. This is to push you to Hamashiach. You have to fast and pray and ask Hamashiach to give you this understanding. These people, Israelites and Christians, read the Bible, open the Bible up. It's good Bible. It's right here, verse such and such. All they doing is trading on verses. You don't even know the Hebrew. You don't know what part was corrupted. But now you're going to go on my social media and think you're correcting somebody. Now you want to have 4-hour videos, these Israelites pushing this skin doctrine, these Israelites pushing this pork doctrine. Slow down. Slow down.
Can I also ask, it's kind of like posing a question. So these little notes on the side of the text, is that a sense of breaking the law also because you're adding on to the text? Now, I'm not saying like on your own personal notes, but like these books have been massively produced.
Right.
So the way I'm thinking about it in my mind is this adding on to, because the Most High knows who he's trying to reach out to, because the Holy Spirit will lead you in all truth. But so would this kind of be like going against Deuteronomy 4:2, or am I kind of reaching with that?
I would say it's noble to put those cross references, because Matthew did it with the virgin birth.
Okay.
Matthew mentions the prophecy of Jeremiah. So by them putting the cross reference and when prophecy was fulfilled, that's like kind of innocent. So we got some white hat hackers. Y'all know what white hat hackers are? The white hat
Noble hackers almost.
Right. Like if you get caught hacking, the government will hire you. Like instead of putting you in prison, come show us what you did. So a white hat hacker is a good guy now. So some of these publishers are noble people. Let me put the cross reference of the Messiah. Like here's this messianic verse in Psalms, and it matches the New Testament. That's kind of noble. But these Masoretes, they was not doing that. They started Xing out messianic prophecy. They started like, no, everything that pointed to Yahushua of Nazareth being the Messiah, they changed it. They altered it. Because they believe, the rabbis, these Talmudists, they believe Messiah hasn't come yet. So you still got some Talmudic Jews who believe he hasn't come yet. These are their descendants. And now some of the Khazars, they'll soak up the same doctrine. Y'all waiting on y'all Messiah for the first time. We're waiting on our Messiah for the second time. So I think we got some good guys putting the reference in here, but these Masoretes, they wasn't doing that. They got bold. First they started with little notes, and then they got bold and put their note on top of their original. So these Talmudists are the same ones that Hamashiach was saying, whoa, whoa. Did we finish this out?
Nah. It says, a stream cannot rise higher than its source. If the text they started with were corrupted, then even a perfect transmission of those texts would only serve to preserve the mistakes. Even if the Masoretes demonstrated great care when copying the text, their diligence would not bring about the correction of even one error.
So you got these seminary trained regurgitating what they learned in seminary. No, the Jews did a great job copying. Yeah, they copied corrupted text. Anybody ever got caught cheating in school? I know not about high school. Y'all probably good guys about high school, but in grade school, ever got caught cheating?
I was cheating in college.
How did they teach you what you cheating?
If you got all the same ones wrong that the person
In front of you, like he's like, you copied over the right, didn't you? No, I did. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I studied all night. What's kind of strange? You're on the right, got the same ones wrong. Don't even spell the word the same. So that's what he's saying. Just because you go to seminary and now this Jesuit education tell you, oh, this is good Bible. They copied the text with no corruption. Their source was corrupted. So if the metaphor he used, if your fountain, if your stream, if your river has like Flint, Michigan, now you give me a bottle, oh, this is good. Now you gave me bottled corrupted water. That's all. So seminary preachers and these Christians, Orthodox, whatever name you want to take, they're talking about this is good Bible. You don't know your source. Your fountain is corrupted, family. These are the scribes and Pharisees that Hamashiach talked about. Let's finish this up. We'll stop right here.
In addition to these intentional changes by Hebrew scribes, there also appear to be a number of accidental changes which they allowed to creep into the Hebrew text. For example, consider Psalms 145. Psalms 145 is an acrostic poem. Each line of the psalm starts with the successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Yet in the Masoretic, one of the lines is completely missing.
It's I think it's the na. The line of the end, that's a na. Their line for na is missing inside the King James. So when you go to Psalms 145, they don't have a line for the na, for the end character. Let's go ahead and just finish with the Septuagint before we move on for this one.
Yet the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament, does include the missing verse. And when that verse is translated back into Hebrew, it starts with the Hebrew letter, Nun, which we know is the Na, which was missing from the Masoretic text.
No, well, that's a third witness against the Masoretic text. Let's go ahead and finish this. The Dead Sea Scrolls.
In the early 20th century, the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in caves near Qumran. They revealed an ancient Hebrew textual tradition which differed from the tradition preserved by the Masoretes. Written in Hebrew, copies of Psalm 145 were found to include the missing verse.
So now we got two witnesses against the Masoretic text. Ain't that the plumb line?
Mm-hmm.
We got the Dead Sea Scrolls calling y'all liars, and we got the Septuagint calling y'all liars. Now, to be Bereans and to let you know we behind enemy lines, what you get from these publishers, my Septuagint, I got the written right, but if I go to my publishing page, so it's written, but it says first printed, well, the originally printed or originally published in 1851, right? Then it says first printed April 86, second printing October 87, third printing June 90, fourth printing August 92, sixth printing or fifth printing February 95, sixth printing February 97, the 11th printing 2005. All these versions and printings, if that publisher wants, they're trying to hide errors and stuff. That's why you may get about, well, mine's corrected, because it's the third edition. A lot of these publishers, this information are coming out. So some publishers are white hats and try to go back to the original, so you may get their edition that has this na or the nun. But originally, your King James didn't have that. So you got white hats going back, like, let's get back to the original. That's why some of these camps, they come against the, turn it off, I'm cold too. Some of these camps come against the NIV, and I started doing a light study on the NIV. What the NIV, just push it all the way up, it'll turn the air off. What the, the blue marker. Push that blue all the way up, and now the air won't come on. So the NIV and some of these other versions, don't just believe they're wicked because someone tells you they're wicked. If you ain't bought it to cross-reference it, you're talking ignorant. You're just repeating a man-made doctrine. What some of these different verses did, they're trying to correct the Masoretes. So I just started my study, my investigation on the NIV, and it seems like that's what that body of a community did. They went back trying to correct the corruption of the Masoretes. I haven't finished my study, but that's what I'm saying. You got this camp doctrine going around, and they start bashing these versions, and you got the most wicked and corrupt version with this King James. You see what I'm saying? So this is just one witness. This is just one witness. Let's go to a next witness here. So let me close this so we don't get confused. Let's go to let's go to this one now. Let's go to this website. I'm trying to make it bigger. What is the oldest Hebrew Bible? No, this is not. I don't want to start with that.
I just like that it showed that they added the vowel points, and now that's 3, that interpolation of vowel letters, that book. I got to go back and add these to my thing, but that book that you brought out like a week ago, and then that one, that us 3 witnesses that said that in the original it was no vowel points. Like that's huge right there to me.
We're going to touch on it today too. We're going to bring it out today. So this is a website. Y'all can see the links up top here. You can go to them yourself and verify. Check out the owner of the website. Check out the author. Check out everything to be thorough. You know, we're not trying to indoctrinate. We're just presenting information. So y'all can check these websites out for yourself. This is Errors in the Masorete's Original Hebrew, Manuscripts of the Bible. Can you read that for us out?
The Hebrew Bible or Old Testament that we have today differs from the Hebrew manuscripts of the Bible penned in the first millennium BCE. When transmitting any sort of a document from generation to generation, small alterations, some intentional, others not, are made. Even the most careful scribe makes errors, which are perpetuated and often compounded by future scribes. Thus, it should not surprise us that the Hebrew Bible, which has a transmission history of several millennia, contains textual difficulties, corruptions, and even mistakes. Critical editions of the Bible examine these differences by looking at varying Hebrew witnesses and try to accurately reconstruct the original Hebrew manuscripts of the Bible. In November and December 2013 issue of the Biblical Archaeology Review, David Marcus and James A. Sanders discussed why critical editions of the Bible are necessary and describe the work that goes into creating such an edition in the article.
So if you talk to a seminary trained or seminary indoctrinated person, they're going to swear that this is a good Bible. Nothing's been altered. They handle the word of God with good text. This is holy writ. And all you're doing is repeating what you've been told. If you haven't seen the original, you can't verify that this is the actual words. So that's why we need these witnesses, because me and you don't have the money to fly over to Israel, but these good doctors have. And they are what you would call, some of them are objectors. Like, why would I lie? So me and you, we're just learning our Hebrew. But we got several witnesses telling us the Masoretic text is corrupted. It's garbage. So I wanted to click on this link right here, the original Hebrew manuscript. Can you read that out? Let me make this bigger. What is the oldest Hebrew Bible?
The formation of the Hebrew Bible from the Dead Sea Scrolls at the Aleppo
Codex. Codex is an old-fashioned word for book. That's all that is.
What is the oldest Hebrew Bible? That is a complicated question. The Dead Sea Scrolls are fragments of the oldest Hebrew Bible.
So the Dead Sea Scrolls is the oldest, but it's a fragment, okay?
While the Aleppo Codex and the Leningrad Codex are the oldest complete versions.
So they're newer, but they got everything. That's what it's saying, right? Read on.
Written by the Masoretes in the 10th and 11th centuries.
Written by the Talmudists, the Masoretes, the grandsons of the ones who killed Messiah, the grandsons of the one Hamashiach was saying, woe to you scribes and Pharisees.
The Ashkar-Gilson manuscript falls in between the early scrolls and the later codices. In the missing link in the Hebrew Bible formation in the November-December 2015 issue of the Biblical Archaeology Review, biblical scholar Paul Sanders discusses the role of the Ashkar-Gilson manuscript had in bridging the gap between the Dead Sea Scrolls and later the Aleppo Codex and the Leningrad Codex. The Dead Sea Scrolls were first discovered by Bedouin in 1947. Over 80,000 scroll fragments that came to be known as the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in 11 caves near the Dead Sea site of Qumran, of Quebec, Qumran. The Dead Sea Scrolls date between 250 BCE and 68 CE and represent the largest group of Second Temple Jewish literature ever discovered.
That Jewish literature, I hate when they use that word because that's deceiving in our modern times. Just say Israelite. That's Israelite literature.
the second temple Israelite literature ever discovered. And people know the second temple was what you was just reading from Ezra and Nehemiah. So that's what this is talking about at that time period. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain two types of documents, fragments of the oldest Hebrew Bible text and writings that most scholars argue describe the beliefs and practices of a community of Israelites living and writing at the nearby settlement of Qumran. The Aleppo Codex, the oldest Hebrew Bible that has survived to modern times, was created by scribes called the Masoretes in Tiberias, Israel, around 930 CE.
So this is the 10th century.
As such, the Aleppo Codex is considered to be the most authoritative copy of the Hebrew Bible.
So this is when you got to be a Berean and watch the switcheroo. So the Aleppo Codex, it's the Masoretic Codex. You see how they just play word games with you? So that's all. Aleppo, it's the Masoretes, it's the Talmudists, right? Keep going up. I hope y'all sit down for this.
However, it says it is not complete. However, as almost 200 pages went missing between 1947 and 1957.
How many pages went missing?
200 pages went missing between 1947 and 1957.
Let me magnify this. 200 pages went missing between 1947 and 1957. Now, family, 200 pages for us in the pagan tongue, that's a whole book.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole book in their type font. 200 pages is a book.
Mm-hmm.
But for you and I, but they wasn't using the pictograph here. They were using the second generation, the paleo. But in the paleo, you know how many sentences you can fit in 200 pages? It's a whole encyclopedia missing. And this is what you hand me as good Bible? Oh, that's good Bible. You a coon, ain't no good Bible. It's 200 pages missing. And this is what you arguing and debating about. We got Israelites and Christians think they got some knowledge using the Masoretic text.
This goes back to what I was saying earlier. Last week, I was just praying that the Most High kept me meek and humble in these times. And with this, what you bringing out these past couple of weeks, man, it just continues to drive home that we don't know anything. We don't know anything.
That's why I try to stay even killed and have exchanges with brothers. But when they come with their little carnal, puffed up mind, it's hard because I'm a carnal man. I'm still in my flesh too. I'm trying to build and walk with you and be civil. But when you just keep scoffing and making like baseless claims, that's when he's like, now I'm going to treat you like a Gentile, like the Most High did Northern Israel. And that he said, now I'm going to talk to you rough. I'm going to change my speech. And that's what these brothers, they got me. I'm now about to change my speech to you. I'm about to deal with you like you're a Gentile because you keep puffing up. You can't speak Hebrew. You can't process the pictographs. And you don't know the Masoretic text is corrupted. But that's what you keep feeding me with. So I guess we don't have to beat a dead horse about the Aleppo Codex. 200 pages missing. Now, this is telling you how. And we got to read this because this is part of our history. Let's read this about the Masoretes copy. This is part of our history.
The Masoretic text has a history that is almost as dramatic as the biblical events that it recounts. One of the most important ancient biblical manuscripts, the Aleppo Codex, was originally written in Tiberias around 930 AD. It became the version of the Hebrew Bible that was ultimately considered the most authoritative text in Jerusalem or Judaism.
And we can't remember what we went over last week. Remember last week we put out that website. It says that when Rome conquered Jerusalem in 70 AD, people think, oh, and they got rid of all Israel. No, we're so deep. We know where to hide in the caves So Israelites repopulated and was living in the land, but the Nazarites, we were off in Rome in servitude. So these Talmudists from 70 AD to now to 900, they didn't really have no competition for them to refute what they did. So now the new generation's coming up. That's all they know is the Masoretic text. Because us Nazarites was like, no, this is about the Messiah. We're in Rome. We're in Egypt. And these Talmudists are running Jerusalem. Everything we build upon everything every week, and you can't forget the history we already brought out. That's why by 900, their text is solid, is good Bible. Read on. It's crazy, man. These people are just wicked. That's good Bible, because you went through a seminary class. The Jesuits told you it's good Bible. It's good Bible.
Though the ancient biblical manuscripts contained among the Dead Sea Scrolls are almost 1,000 years older, the importance of the Aleppo Codex is that it is essentially annotated.
It's what?
Annotated.
Uh-huh.
It contains vowel markings, the nikud or the nikudat, in the form of subscripts and superscripts. It contains other markings indicating pitch relationships to guide the cantor in chanting the prescribed Torah or prophetic portion. And it contains massive marginal notations concerning the crux in the text.
So he's making a case that, thank God these Masoretes use the vowel points, because if they didn't use these vowel points, we wouldn't know how to pronounce the words and stuff. You don't know how to pronounce the words when you're saying Yahuwah and Elohim and Elohim. You don't know how to pronounce the words. Y'all ever got a beating for saying something that sounds like a cuss word?
Yeah.
Well, y'all grew that generation. Y'all can cuss with y'all moms, huh?
Nah.
When you say anything close to a cuss word, why? Because phonetics, sounds have power. I grew up in a generation, we couldn't even say lie. We had to say,
lie.
Huh?
Lie.
Yeah, like Shamar, y'all lied. So he told a fib. Like, your mom, you say, dang. You better go ahead and say the word. That's what you want to say. If I wasn't here, that's what you would have said.
That was the word. That was the word.
That's what you would have said. Well, if I wasn't here, huh?
Dang. And I got slapped.
Yeah. we can't say dad, dog. So phonetics have sound. Phonetics have power. So when you change these, when you use these points and nukuds and all this mess that the Most High didn't use, you tell us the Most High made a mistake. I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's read what happened to their copy. Where we at?
So are you saying that they improved the Bible? Or
That's what he's making the case for. If they hadn't did this, we wouldn't know how really to pronounce Hebrew. It's like you don't know how to pronounce Hebrew because Hebrew has no vowels. That's how far away we move from the pictographs.
And our own people, who has some do great work, they'll argue and say, oh yeah, the Yahweh, Elohim, you just made that up. But it's all the scholarship is telling you that they're admitting like, hey, yeah, we did add the vowel points. So if it's no vowel points and you just see letters, how are you getting the IOU and all that stuff?
We're going to get there. We're going to get there again. We brought this out. I brought this out years ago because I'm like you all. I don't want to be sounding crazy saying stuff that's so y'all, all praise to Abba Yah. We have brothers and sisters doing the research, and that's what we are to do. If you verify someone's research and you validate this to be true, support and pass it along. And that's what we're doing. So I started learning and let me be fair since we're on here. It's not necessarily Yiddish. Those vowel points are Greek. So the Greeks brought the vowels. But then when these Yiddish came in, they started creating more words.
Yeah, they admitted, I would have to look it up again to see, but they admitted that, yeah, we created this modern version of the language based on the text that they, went back and looked at, but we know that what they went back and looked at is this.
Y'all catching those comments out? Because I can't keep up.
Yeah, there's no comment.
Okay. So let's read what happened to their copy of the Bible.
The riots
Come.
in the anti-Israelite or Jewish riots that broke out in Aleppo, Syria, following the UN resolution that created the Israeli state in 1947.
So that is anti-Jewish.
So that is Jewish now.
So you had homeborn Israelites, saying these people, this ain't their land. So again,
Yeah, because the real ones were in Syria is a part of our land.
Come on, that's why you have to know history and you have to understand these words, Jewish and Israel, and you have to understand the context being used. So in 1947, we still had blood-born Israelites who knew they Israel fighting against these Khazars. Like, look, I don't care what the United States say, this ain't your land. And now the riot broke out.
And it says this is the most important of ancient biblical manuscripts was damaged.
So during the riots, that's when their manuscript got damaged.
And it says portions of it remain missing to this day.
To this day, you still have. So let me get this straight. Let me see if I'm putting this in context. They already had 200 pages missing, and then in 47, when the United States and France gave these Khazars, these black cats, our land, even your 200 pages short copy was damaged. Now you got more missing. So in 1611, what did you come up with? Fragments of a fragment. And this is what you want to come and argue against us with. Slow down. Let's be civil. Because I'm telling you, I'm not the one you want to go to war with. I have one speed, seek and destroy. Let's be civil. Let's be Bereans, and let's get to. You're not even asking us where we get this stuff from. You just that's not the true. That's not the true name. That's not the true word. Or you at least ask me. One brother came against the had some questions about the virgin birth, and I'm like, did you even take the time to download the Hebrew copy of Matthew yet? If you're not even going to download the information, stop. You're being ignorant. Stop. Let's read on.
Tiberius 930 AD. Written in 930 AD or CE in the town of Tiberias by the Sea of Galilee, the Aleppo Codex has traveled widely since its creation by the Masoretes, named for the scholarly notations they made in the margins of the text.
So now, the text y'all created, what y'all marched in the margin, is being passed around like a hot potato. What do you think other people are doing when they getting it?
Adding their margins to the text.
I ain't the smartest man. I can't give you proof. I can't give you no witnesses, but 2 + 2 = 4. You think they getting the text and not putting their own spin or their own language in it? So let's go to our next witness about this Masoretic text. If y'all have questions, just jump in here. All right, that's not the one I want. Go to this one. And again, going back to what I opened up with, you guys are learning things. You're going to have to either ignore the chatter on social media.
That's what I have to do.
Or you're going to have to be patient, like they don't know yet. Like
it's all I just be ignoring everything all this stuff that I see, because
I ain't even been up there for these past couple.
You're going to get frustrated because they were like, all they're going to be giving you is what they done heard. Nothing they research themselves. And if you guys are copying and using the PDFs, you got witnesses. I'm not just pulling this out thin air. I got witnesses to support what we're saying. But they're going to keep coming with their emotions and what they've been told, and it's going to be frustrating. So you guys got to be mature and very patient, or just leave them alone. Just leave them alone. So here's another website. And again, you guys can copy all this down. Can you see that? Can you see that? So this is I forgot the name of this. Oh, Bible www. Bible.ca. It's a. I recommend you visit this site. It's a lot of history here. A lot of history.
So is this rabbi our ancestor or the Ashkenazi?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because they got converted in he may very well be an Israelite because the Khazars didn't get converted till 900 and something. So anywhere from up until I say 1000, if you hear rabbi, it's probably an Israelite. It's probably an Israelite. Read on.
On two different occasions? On two different historic occasions, the Jews corrupted their own Bible to counter theological adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews in 160 to 200 AD corrupted the Genesis chronology for the anti-Christian purposes, unknowingly following in the footsteps of Ezra in 458 BC, who, for anti-Samaritan purposes, changed the location of Joshua's altar from Mount Gerizim to Mount Ebal as he converted the Paleo-Hebrew Tanakh into Aramaic Hebrew.
So when these doctor seminaries just regurgitate the Jesuit curriculum and know the Bible has been transmitted over the years in perfection, it's inerrant, it's infallible, it's inspired. You're just rehearsing, repeating what your teachers told you in seminary. Because we got witnesses coming out, and we went over, 30 verses last week? That the Septuagint, you got the Septuagint witnessing against you, you got the Dead Sea Scrolls against you, and you have the Peshitta. We're gonna touch on the Peshitta. We got multiple witnesses against your Masoretic text, but you on your website, your social media, that's good Bible.
Is this part true about Ezra changing the location?
I haven't been able to corroborate that because for me, until someone shows me differently, the Septuagint is going to be my go-to. And when I look the verse up in the Septuagint, it's in the Septuagint. Now he's claiming that because Ezra was anti-Northern Israel, that he changed when Joshua was coming in the land. Joshua told them to go on two different mountains. And on one side, it was actually Mount Gerizim. So he's claiming that Ezra changed the mountain to favor Jerusalem. And for me, the Septuagint is saying that it's Gerizim. So it's like I can't go against the Septuagint.
And like the Most High told him and the boys what to write. So
for me, he has to give me more witnesses that Ezra changed it. I haven't found enough witnesses to support Ezra changed the mountains. But that's what he's claiming.
And then he's going to go on to say that Noah got drunk, David committed adultery. Perhaps this one textual corruption was Ezra's great sin. Notice that in both cases, the entire collection of Hebrew manuscripts were entrusted in the hands of a small number of Jews who created a single manuscript that would come to dominate the world, all within a population who were Hebrew illiterate and would be unable to detect the changes.
So this is just a table showing the different translations or versions of the Old Testament. And my question to these so-called seminary trained people, if there have been no changes and these Jews were honest, why do we got all these additions? It should be the same one. It shouldn't be all these versions. You see how you ask questions and you're just proving to be liars? You're pushing your doctrine. You're foolish and naive to think that you have a pure copy from Moses all the way to the 1000s when the Masoretes did their job. You be foolish. Let's just read some of these points here.
And that said hieroglyphic Hebrew.
We're going to touch on that. Let's read a couple of these points for the introduction. I know it's a lot. I can help out if y'all get tired.
The Masoretic texts we have today, the Codex Leningrad and the Mikharat Gideonot, The oldest Hebrew manuscript in the world is the Codex Leningrad, which dates to 1008 AD.
That's not even old, family. We was going on slave ships in what? 1492 is when the Jews got expelled. So 1000 is not ancient. That Talmudic, this Masoretic text is not ancient. Read on.
In 1542, the Jewish Masoretic text was approved in its final form, the Ben Hayim edition, superseding all previous editions. You had to scroll for that. And preserving them only for critical research, the Israelite Samaritan version of the Torah.
So it's saying that now these Talmudists has updated their version, and all previous versions are now going to be deemed inferior. That's all it's saying. For the sake of time, we're going to beat a dead horse. We're going to see it again. Read number D.
Bibles, rabbinic Bibles, called also the Great Bibles, Hebrew Bibles containing, besides the original text, the commentaries of sundry Jewish rabbis.
That's what we have with the Masoretic. You have a rabbinic Bible, but they're going to tell you all the changes was minor. How you a Christian talking about you follow Christ, and these Masoretes gave you a Bible that undermines Christ, but the changes are minor? You just ask questions. It don't make sense because this website can't. I gotta keep scrolling. Let me see something else worthy of. All right. Y'all can visit this site and get more information. For the sake of time, just hit number 3. Number 3 right here.
The Masoretic text, as we have it today, was standardized by anti-Christian Jews in Zippori in 160 AD.
The Masoretic text is an anti-Messiah Bible, but they didn't make that many major changes. That's what these people tell you. These Christians who've been indoctrinated, they recite and quote all these seminary all-stars, Spurgeon, and now they got the modern, I got so-and-so new book in it. You run into all these foreigners to Israel thinking you got some good history about the Hebrew text. Muddy waters, family, muddy waters. So this is what.
That's why I said it ain't no telling what prophecy and stuff that we just is missing that we just don't even know.
You see, and now you get into my notes. Why would the most if all these texts is solid and this is all we need to get back home? Why did the Most High said in the latter days, I'm going to have your sons and daughters to what? Prophesy in dreams. If he knew that this was all we need, Most High knew what was going to happen. Messiah just prophesied, woe to you scribes and Pharisees. So that's why that's why I'm telling y'all, when we fast and pray, ask for the gifts again and believe he's going to give them to you. You got something out?
Yeah, one thing I was just listening, just kind of letting it play while I, kind of like take a nap or whatever. But I was listening to Ezekiel and just seeing how the Most High came to him in captivity with the captives, according to Ezekiel chapter 1. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if he's doing all of that while this man is in captivity, I'm like, that sounds like something he may do again. He can just, because like, if you just don't know, when it's time, he gonna show you what we need to see. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, he's like, yeah, I'm with the captives. He literally says, I'm with the captives.
In Babylon.
And I'm like, whoa, well, we the captives in Babylon.
You see, man, you gonna have me jump out my skin.
So I'm like, the Most High is showing you this stuff with the chariots. He said the heavens opened up, and I'm just like, in captivity, this is what is going on. So with all this stuff missing,
it's showing me that like, hey, like we just never know.
Never know. So how's that looking on the screen? Is it big enough for the people to see?
Yep. On my computer it is.
So this is what you was alluding to. I wanted to bring this out, and you can download this to your computer and blow it up as a poster. I'm thinking about doing it. I just want to make sure that it doesn't have a star. You gotta watch these people. They put that star on everything. But this is the transition of our language. So can you read that? The
four Hebrew Bible scripts. Number 1 is the Hieroglyphic Hebrew original phonogrammatic alphabet by Yosef in 1859 BC.
So y'all know this time, we have to use the Roman time. So 1859 BC is 1,000 years before Mashiach was born. So it was the pictographs, what we use here, the picture of the ox head, the tent floor, the foot of a man. This is why we use the language we use. This is why we say Abba, God, Ha, Wa, because this is ancient and this helps us. The pictures help us understand what's really being said. This is another witness that we're on point if you need a confirmation. This is why I don't argue with people and I don't try to correct people. If that's your understanding, all praises. But I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing, and I have witnesses.
Number 1, so that's the pictograph Hebrew, and it's just cool that it says phonogrammatic, because that's what you be saying. The make sounds.
That's all speech is. That you can learn anybody's language once you know the sounds their characters make. So if Nariah wanted to come up with a new language and call it Nariahism, he would have to give me some symbols, and then you got to tell me what sounds they make.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you tell me the first symbol is New York, well, how am I going to use that to speak?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to turn New York into sound? Because New York is already.
That's why Aleph, Bet, and all that don't make sense. You're giving me a word that's a letter.
The letter has a word.
So if we were saying the letter A was Annabelle, so how am I gonna put that in a sentence?
How am I going to turn that to another? How am I going to put another word with another word to make a third word?
Right. So Abba would be Aleph, Bet, Aleph.
You see, and then English copied off the Greeks, right? The Greeks copied off us. So when in their system, they taught us A was for in grade school.
Apple.
Yeah,
A is for apple,
yeah,
B is for
boy, or like T as in Tom.
they tell us the sounds they make.
Mm-hmm.
But now you tell me Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet is really something.
Mm-hmm.
In Salakia. I took a biblical Hebrew class about 2 years ago, and they said that the aleph and the ayin doesn't make any sound. And like when I first heard it, I was like, that's weird. Why not? Then the teacher's like, I don't know, it just doesn't. That's what they taught us. I was like, oh, okay. So
Go ahead.
that's really it. So you're telling me that this is the language of creation, but the aleph, but the head of the language ain't making no sound, and then the middle of the language of creation ain't making no sound, and then what's the real deal? So this again another testament that the Lashon Kodash is the language of creation, because every letter, every character has a sound.
How you want to have a letter that's helping you speak, but it's silent? What are we, mimes?
Stuff is crazy, man.
See, we gotta come out. We're gonna be weirdos, or they're gonna look at you like, oh, because now you got these charismatic Hebrews who don't want to put the time in. They just want to have church. They want to have Shabbat. So now they want to do all this charismatic stuff. All this scholarship and research, we gotta get back to spiritual. Getting back to spiritual is getting back to what the Father says, because He is the great high spirit. So you want to have all this praise and all this shaking and stuff. It's too much Torah talking. It's too much research.
And then you have ones who, which is all praises that they are coming out of Christianity, but they don't take the time to actually learn. They just try to transition over and keep some type of fellowship and congregation going. So like they never even get to this point. They'll catch, YouTube and different things online and see what the community, how they're talking and what they're saying. And then they take that versus like, somebody like yourself who is like digging not to be right, not to say that you're better than anybody else, just to say what the truth is, because I was telling him in the car, people don't understand the level of deception that we're under. Because when we talk about the calendar, you see the Rock Bar, it's a brother, just want I don't mind saying him because it's just about the calendar. And I could feel where he's coming from with his post, because you was there when I said it's almost like flat earth when you find out that the Roman calendar was created through Constantine, and then Hillel said, well, now we're gonna put Saturday, since it's the last day, as a Shabbat. When Constantine said, well, we worship the sun, so Sunday is gonna be the first day, right? So I'm like, and what the point is, you guys are not understanding that we've been under the fourth beast control since the 300s at least. And it says that Daniel said he's going to think to change times and laws. So how are you just going to be like, those people who saying the new moon is how you get the Sabbath? Look out, because you got to don't be cocky like that. Take yourself out and just critically think like, hey, we all have been under the deception from all the way to bare minimum at least 300s for Rome. So you're not in charge of making the calendar. Our ancestors, now remember, when we're in rule, that means we create, well, not we know it's from the Father, but we are in charge of how things go on the earth. So the Hebrews is always going to have a different timestamp than everybody else. And it's just that same thing with the language. It's like you'll wake up to some stuff, but you don't check the other. You don't check the other.
I don't want to go that far.
Right.
You see, and that's what's going to happen as you brothers meet other brothers and you try to witness to other brothers. They're going to want to get, I got enough now. I don't need the rest of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, no names. Well, this is how we've been doing it, and we don't need to revisit that no more.
Right.
What if they find an ancient relic tomorrow and publish it that says, you know what? The Most High wants us to wear red shirts on the first day of the week. Are you not going to do it?
You got to be willing, like stay open. Don't. I think what happens is the pride, and when you say, this is it, I found the truth, this is the home of the truth.
Yeah.
Now it's like if something comes contrary to that, you don't want to, admit any type of wrong or fault. When you're like, I know for myself, I'm just an open book. Like, hey, if it's some new information that's presented, let's have it. I'm willing to change,
Right, you had something up?
Well, it just going back to Matthew 23 and 23, it's kind of what Hamashiach was saying. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay the tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. There's a lot of things being left undone. And what y'all talking about, they'll cherry pick, just like you always say, they'll cherry pick what they like, what they want, what fits their agenda, and then they'll leave other things undone.
Now we got Israelites doing this. We're talking about Israelites who are waking up, come out of Christianity. Yeah. You're bringing Christian practices into this movement because you don't want to go no further.
Exactly.
I love, and I'm gonna mention him because he's my brother, and I love him. He's my elder. But I call him elder. Y'all probably know him as bishop over at Seventh Day. I love Elder's humility because when he first came here, he was just waking up. Murad Douglas had just had was it the first one? No, it was actually the second one. Murad Douglas had the second conference, but it was the Bible in Black one. And Elder came here, and it was like we was over his experience. So he came for a while, but it was like we was too deep, we was too far gone for him. So he had to back away and go somewhere else to get some understanding. Now I'm seeing Elder on his book room. He got his his diadems on. He got, when he first started wearing fringes, he sent me a picture of his fringes, because when he came to us, we were already so far ahead. He's like, whoa, but he did the right thing. He didn't just get indoctrinated. Okay, let me just join in with them. No, I told him, says, you make sure you understand why. But you got Israelites just following the crowd. You're seeing Elohim and Yahuwah, you ain't asked them where that come from. You didn't ask them to show you no witnesses, but when you hear something contrary, you know it's wrong though. It's wrong based on what?
And now a lot of them changed to Yahuwah Alua, because I don't know who it was, but they were showing that they were saying it was no E's, but it was Alua. I guess that's supposed to be Alahayim. So that's what you will see a lot of people say now, Yahuwah Alua.
I don't correct them. I know, for me, I need to go to the source. I'm a movie person. Y'all movie people?
Yeah.
Y'all seen my boy Denzel and American Gangster? That's one of my favorites. Frank Lucas. That's y'all North Carolinians. Frank Lucas, like, I want to go to the source. I'm cutting the middleman out. That's where I'm like, I don't want your Jesuit doctrine. I don't want your camp doctrine. And let me say this while I'm on the camp. The camps have been abused. People put the camps as the face of erroneous doctrine. We got some non-camp assemblies putting out false doctrine and pushing their agendas too. So just because they may not be organizing camp faction, we got other assemblies being deceitful with information too. I want to put that out there. But Frank Lucas says, I'm cutting the middleman out. I'm going in the jungle and get this product. And that's where I'm like, I'll go wherever. I used to spend hundreds of dollars in the world on nonsense. So I'll spend hundreds of dollars on righteousness. That's where I'm cutting the middleman out. Don't tell me something that you've been indoctrinated with your rebeat and you're a captain. Show me your witnesses.
And I was just saying again, I don't even, like you said, I mean, there's so much stuff because I don't feel like arguing or trying to prove a point necessarily online, because you can't really get nowhere without having a real conversation. So most of the stuff I just ignore, and a lot of it, I understand that maybe they just don't know. But the biggest problem I have is when it's reversed and then they attack what you have seen or believe without the research. That's the part where other than that, I'm like, I love you. We lost. We all together.
May y'all be with you.
Yeah.
That's it.
So.
This is not awesome.
And to your point, Shamaria, that's the cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah, some love.
Say that.
I know I've had it in cognitive dissonance when you're trying to learn, and that emotional part comes in because your deeply held belief is being challenged with reputable witnesses. And that's why I appreciate what Abijah is bringing out, because he's bringing out reputable witnesses. It's humbling, like he said, because when you really think you know something, you really don't, because like he always said, we're behind enemy lines, and these texts have been translated over centuries, not only by our oppressors, but over people who have literally stolen our identity and our heritage. So we really do have to go back to the Most High and ask him, is this right? Is this right? Because Revelation 12:9 says, Hasatan, who deceives the whole world. And deception looks right. It doesn't look wrong. It looks good. It feels good. But it's actually deception. Because I was reading also, I think it's Acts 11:26, where it talks about in Antioch, they were first called Christians. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our oppressors had added that verse, because if his name is Yahushua, how do you get Christians out of that? So correct me if I'm wrong. When I was looking at it, because I was trying to cross reference it, obviously it wasn't in the Septuagint, but I went from the KJV to the NIV and to other versions, and those versions, which we know based on the research that you were just given, has been translated to these people who have corrupted the word. So when I was looking at it, I was like, hold up, how were they called Christians? So I think it was part, and we know when our people came over here on those slave ships, the Europeans, they try to convert people to Christianity, and if they didn't want to convert, they would get killed. So it just made me go back to the scripts and look at that particular one, Acts 11, I think it is 26, where it talks about they were first called Christians. So I think that verse was added.
It was corrupted because when you go back and check the speaker is a Hebrew. The speaker is Herod. And I think that's the chapter, and Herod was like, you almost convinced me to be a Christian. And if you go back to Acts 24, it says Paul or Shaul was the leader of a sect of the Nazarenes. And then when you get to Acts 26, Herod says, you almost convinced me to be a Christian. They were first called Christians in Antioch. Herod's a Hebrew, he's an Edomite, and Christian is a Roman word. So Herod, being an Edomite, a Hebrew, he would have used the Hebrew slur for us, and the Hebrew slur was Nazarenes or Nazarites.
So just what you just said, Acts 11 and 26, I'm reading it out of the Sefer Montel. Acts 11 verse 26, it says, and when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with a called out assembly and taught much people. And the Talmudim were called Mashiachim first in Antioch. I'm just reading it straight from the book. And Acts 26 and 28, what Maraj just said, then Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuade me to be a Nazarene. So literally.
Wow.
Where's that?
That was 28 of Acts 26 in DC. And I just wanted to say, you gotta remember that even Yahushua had a devil around him, like right there with him. So as we become more quote unquote established as a nation, we already know that the people in the beginning are gonna look at this thing like a fad and they're gonna fall off early. But the real ox, so to speak, the agents that get supplanted, they're gonna be deep in it with us with this thing until the very end.
It's funny you mentioned that. Hallelujah, because me and another Israelite I told y'all about, we've been, on the outskirts of this one little so-called Christian, and I really think he's an agent. And then I was thinking, I said, you know what? We shouldn't be surprised or disappointed. Every movement we had in our nation, how was we defeated? But I'm just letting you know, I'm an Old Testament Israelite. If you come inside our community, whether you be blue, black, or Casper white, and you get found out, we're going to deal with you like the Old Testament. That's why I'm not so big in advertising, come fast with us or come celebrate with us. No, because this community, the way we teach, the way we conduct ourselves is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. So we're not being snobbish or don't want people to come into the truth, but don't come over here playing because I'm gonna deal with you like our fathers dealt with you. So let's move on. Thank you for all that. Thank you for that. So I brought this out, and you can go to this website and you can download this and make a poster out of it. I think I will try to, when I get some time, to download this and blow this up for the buyout. But what I want to bring out here, the very top here, this is really Hebrew, what we call Hebrew or the Ibarium language. Ibarium. We're not Hebrews, we are Ibarium. This is the original. This is what Father wrote the commandments with. This is what Uncle Masha wrote with. I can't find research when this was replaced. But these pictures, when you put these pictures together and you know what they mean, it makes sense. Like the first two, for all of you who are new, we read from right to left. So we start over here. This is the ox head, and it's the ah sound. This is the tent door, and this is the ba sound. So Abba is our word for father. Abba, the ox head represents being strong because he's the strongest beast of the farm. That's how you would use the ox to plow your field, to open your field up. So the ox head represents being strong. The tent is representing the house. Abba, a father is supposed to be the strength of the house. He ain't supposed to be wearing pantyhose and go ask your mom, whatever your mom say. No, it's supposed to be whatever I say. You ain't gonna go ask your mom nothing. I control your mom, I control this house. We've gotten away from who we are as a people. So the father is supposed to be the strength of the house. So these letters make sense, but I think there's research going back as far as Solomon's time. I think Solomon has some coins. Solomon started getting into this script. So this script is what we call paleo. This right here is the pictographs. These all are pictures. But this is paleo, and I think it goes back to Solomon's time. And then you see the changes. You see the changes here. I think this is I forgot who coined with this, but this is paleo, but you see these characters are abstract. You really don't know what these mean. You really don't know what these mean. So if you hadn't learned the pictures, here, these other generations are going to be just meaningless to you. So you got people thinking they know Hebrew because they can read these, but if you can't process them as the picture, you don't know what that word really means. And this is what we call modern or the block script.
Do you think that's true though? Because this is 458 BC. That's supposed to be Ezra. And I don't see Ezra writing that.
I know. I said the same thing. So they're saying, and again, this is a witness. Everything we get, we're getting from Christians.
Oh my God.
We're getting from Christians, so we have to filter it. They're telling us that Ezra started this script right here. But I do have a resource, and for the sake of time, I just can't pull everything up. They're saying that this is not old enough to go back to Ezra's time. So that's what Shemaiah, that's how once you get these histories and once you get become a Berean, that's like this is really not old enough to go back to Ezra. But this is what they're saying Ezra changed the font to. And this is what you got known as modern Hebrew. And it's totally abstract. You don't even see that this is an ox head. I know now just from over the years, I know this is a ba, ga, da, ha. But without the pictures, you don't know what you don't know that a tent door represents a pathway, an opening. You don't know without the pictures that a represents strength. So just knowing this and these paleo, you don't really know Hebrew. You may can pronounce the word, but you don't know what Hebrew is saying. And then this is what the Masoretes did. The Masoretes added these dots.
Good gracious.
All this wickedness. We don't need these dots to pronounce Yerushalayim. If I was home, this is Y-R. Yar. This third letter is a vowel. We don't need it. We already know it's an A sound here. So we would say Y-R, S, L, and then the M. We don't need this right here as a vowel. We don't need this as a vowel. We would say Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. That's where we're from. That's my hometown, Yerushalayim. So I just went over that so you can see the transitions of our language. And again, if you really want to be a Berean and learn what the Most High is saying, you have to go back to the pictures. You have to go back to the pictures. Once you learn what these pictures mean and what they're saying, our language is easy to pronounce and it's easy to understand. I was breaking this down to a brother on the phone the other night, and we was talking about how people say that our day starts in the evening. And I said, well, I said once you learn the pictures, it's easy to understand when our day starts. I says we have two words for morning. We have bakar and munkar. I said the most popular word used in the script is bakar. And before I could finish explaining to him the pictures, he already got it. I said the ba is the tent door, the house. I said the qua sound or the car sound it's the sun rising. He said, don't say no more, I got it. I said, wow. He said, wow, that's easy.
Because then what's the Ra? The first sunrise.
First thing in the morning, the sun is coming up over the house. He said, wow, man, that was easy. So these pictures unlock what the Father is saying to us, family. That's why we take the time to learn.
So, real quick, Shamarcus, with Jerusalem, I've heard people pronounce it Yarawah Shalom. So, is there a writing that might, because the oo sound, some people might use wa.
Yeah, there's no oo sound. Our speech patterns are different. Like if you notice back when Shemaiah was reading, he was calling the city Aleppo, and I was saying Aleppo. It's our speech patterns. It's all Greek to us, so we don't care. Like that's not Hebrew. So based on your speech patterns, how you can pronounce the word. So for us, here's the Y sound. This is Ya. This is the R. Yara. And then this is gone. This is garbage. Here's the SH, Sha. Here's the L right here, La. And this is an M. Yara Shalom.
Okay.
But I think that thing they added would be why somebody would say Yahweh, because that's the Wa, right?
Yeah, this right here is a Wa.
Yeah, that's
or they're calling it a U. You see right here?
Looking at it. Okay.
They're making it a U.
Because, and I was just parsing it in my mind. I don't want to go off on a tangent or anything, because just how the Most High always says, come to me and I will give your soul rest. And we know soul, rawak. So, and I was going to ask you, is there another word for soul? What is rawak a word?
Is Yara a word? Not that I.
Rawak is your spirit.
Yeah.
Napash is the soul.
Rawak is spirit.
Okay.
Napash is soul. This Yerushalayim is saying, Yerushalayim is pretty much, this is Yah. Remember, Yah means he. So in the Hebrew, this is he. So Yerushalayim, he and or say Yah. Let me put this back in the pictures. That's why I love going back to the picture. So Yerushalayim, where's the Yah? The Yah. Here's the arm of a man. So this is Yah. This is our Yah sound. Here's the head of a man. The Ra sound. And then we start with the Shah. Yara Shah, and then La, and then the M. Oh, the M. That's how. So when you run it together, we are the prince of Yah. We are the rulers of Yah. So that's why we say Yasha Allah, and our city is Yerushalayim, the prince of peace, or he who rules with peace. Shalom. And Yahweh Shai is the king of peace. He's the true king of Shalom. See how everything makes sense? Everything makes sense. You have something out?
One thing about saying in the morning starts the day versus like they say the evening. But if the evening started the day, when does the day end? You see what I'm saying? Like I think I heard that like yesterday or something, and I think that's what it was. But I was like, yeah, that's one of those things. Like just ask questions. So if it starts, let's say 6 in the evening. So now this is so that means 6 in the evening is the morning.
Right.
Then 6 a.m. is that still morning or is that night?
Like it's just confusion.
It just literally doesn't make any sense because when would it end?
And that's why I love these pictures, because when you know the most popular words you're gonna find for morning is bakar. Here's ba, the tent or the house. The qua is right here, and you can see it's like the sun rising up, and then Ra representing first. So you pretty much need heat. Anytime you see the sun, you need heat. Because bakar and mutkar is, here's the ma, the ka sound for this one is the tent wall. Which one of these would be the
Might be 349.
This is probably the ka for the tent wall. So ma car, water is separating the head of the man. If the man is separated from water, what is he?
Drawn out.
He's drawn out, he's dehydrated. When would a man be dehydrated? If he's under the sun. So even mud car means the sun is out. So our two words for morning has to deal with heat. Mud car and mud car.
And for some reason, I don't know why, it reminds me of the dew in the morning too, with the water represented from the mouth. It just something reminds me of the dew being in the early in the morning. I don't know why exactly.
Yeah, you can do it because the dew is coming in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So the dew, car is separating because it ain't no dew at night. Anybody ever seen dew at night?
Mm-hmm.
The dew don't come until like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that you see that just I never even seen. So dew, car is water coming in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, all praises. All right, anything else before we move on? We got way off topic. So going back to the presentation, now we're going to get into what I was alluding to. Let's go into the interpolations of the Hebrew vow. I have this book in-house, and you guys can borrow it anytime. Oh, I'm still studying and learning from it, but I'm willing to share. So, this book is invaluable to me. It's available online as a free PDF. And this proves that we don't have any vowel sounds whatsoever in our language. No dots or no letters have ever been changed into vowels in our original language, right? And this was written by a man named Charles William Wall. He's a doctor of divinity. If you respect the education, there you have it. He is a doctor, right? And this was written in 1857. 1857. So if you respect their system, he's a doctor, and this was going back to 1857. And let me go to some highlights just to save time. To show you the whole point of this series, the whole point while we're taking this time is to show you, you can't trust in a Bible just because you open it up and you read from a Bible. And now you're saying, I'm giving you book. You're not. You're giving me adulterations, and you can't even understand what you're reading. It's not being vain, it's just the facts of the case. So let's repeat something we brought out many times before. In case those online have never read this. Where is the one? And this is just an introduction. We don't even have to get deep into this work. Sometimes my edits don't save in these documents. It's very frustrating.
If you know what it's saying, just type it in the search.
And sometimes the search don't work. I'll be up late night, like I'm tired, I want to go to bed. It's like they ain't working with me. I think we get close. So we brought this out before. Let's just rehearse it again. And for the sake of time, we could drop down. Let's drop down right here. But the case
is widely different with regard to further disclosures made in the following essay, namely.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
It's behind on my screen.
Behind it.
It says, but the case is widely different with regard to the further disclosures made in the following essay, namely that the Hebrew Bible, as it is issued from the pens of its inspired authors.
Issued from who?
its inspired authors,
The pens of who?
as it is issued from the pens of the Masoretes, or
No.
the inspired authors, the prophets.
The prophets. Read on.
Was written without vowel signs of any kind, whether points or letters, that where Aleph,
The Ha, Ya, and Wa became vowels. So all we need, only thing we're going to rehearse or repeat from past classes, that he's about to prove that the original Bible, the original scrolls of the prophets, as they heard from Yah, inspired authors is the prophets. The prophets wrote without any vowel signs of any kind. No points or no letters were used as vowels, right? So for the sake of time, let's prove that these Masoretes corrupted our text on purpose. I'll start with, I guess you have that misinterpolation of vowel letters.
okay,
Just to get, I'm sorry, you remind me if it's behind the camera. That disinterpolation of vowel letters.
disinterpolation.
Right here.
Okay. That this interpolation of vowel letters in the main correctly executed, and which contributed essentially to preserving the legibility of the word of God in the original tongue after the ancient Hebrew had ceased to be spoken as a living language, was yet due to an improvement in orthography, which as of foreign and of pagan growth.
It was what?
It was foreign and pagan.
So they're telling us, thank God these Masoretes started using vowels because they help us preserve the language of heaven. No, they didn't. It's of pagan and foreign growth because the vowels came from the Greeks. So you wasn't preserving nothing from heaven when you started using vowels.
The Jews were at first reluctant to admit even into their ordinary writing.
They didn't even want to use it in everyday notes. When the Greeks first pushed this on us, I wouldn't even send you a letter with this, let alone put it in our sacred text. That's what it's saying. Read on.
And of which they were at length induced to extend the use to their scriptures solely from the violent aversion to Christianity, and with a view to evade the forces of prophecies bearing on the divinity of Yahushua or Jesus, and on his identity with the promised Messiah.
They only started using this system because they say this is the perfect opportunity to undermine right out that Nazareth cat, he wasn't a Messiah. This is our perfect opportunity. I'm glad the Greeks are bringing these vowels in. Now we can alter the text under the guise, I'm preserving this so future generations can read. Liars, woe to you scribes and Pharisees.
That accordingly it is in several passages of Holy Writ designedly wrong.
It's designedly wrong.
And in a great many more is so without design, through the haste with which from a desire of concealment the operation was conducted.
So they try to do this real fast and on a slide. So there's all kind of errors in the Masoretic text. And this is the text got the seminary and all these so-called Orthodox Christians call themselves Bereans and whatnot. This is what they're reading from, thinking they're shutting the Israelites down. Or this is what Israelites giving you, thinking that they're refuting you. Slow down, man. Let's be brothers and let's get some understanding. Nariah?
You ever heard that phrase, they trying to slip me a Mickey?
Yeah. That's what the Masoretes was slipping Mickey. That's what they did. So they said, I'm glad the Greeks are telling us that we got to use vowels. It's the perfect opportunity for us to change the text and undermine the Messiah. That the Samaritans
having also, in imitation of the Jews, introduced vow letters by stealth.
So you can't even go to Syria and say, well, see, this vow system is authentic because it's in Samaria. They copied off the wicked Jews and started using vows.
And they introduced these letters by stealth into the Pentateuch with like precipitation, and from like motives, their vocalization abounds with similar faults.
Yahuwah, Elohim, all this mess of Lua. You're following a pagan system. I'm not throwing rocks, all praises be, but if you want to be a Berean and get to the root, that's what you're doing when you use these vows. It comes from pagans. Who are running the pagans?
Satan.
Satan, fallen angels.
Thing.
Hello, Satan. This is not being mean, this is not being puffed up. These are the facts of the case. We're producing witnesses. If you can't produce witnesses, you're just running with your homeboys, you're just running with your emotions because you got attached to this teacher and now you're just a groupie. Ain't no groupies here in the Torah group. We all prove what we're saying. From me on down, I'm not exempt. I'm not over nobody. I'm a workman. I'm a soldier like everybody else. Read on up.
Their vocalization abounds with similar faults, both intentional and unintentional, but that these faults are frequently neither the very same nor occurring in the same places as those committed by the Jewish vocalizers.
So I don't want you to know that our Father's name is Yahweh. Someone say, oh yeah, we call him Adonai. No, we don't. We call him the great I am. We call him Yahweh. But I don't want these Christians to know that. So that's what these Jews did. Now you think you calling him my father, and I'm laughing like, Go ahead,
The two sets of
No, right has
Oh, no,
something.
I was just gonna comment. If anything, we'll call him Abba. But
Yeah, we gonna call him Adonai.
The two sets of scribes having scarcely agreed with each other in any other respect, but in the feeling that they entertained in common of bitter hostility to the Greeks, to the Christians' religion.
So what it's saying, the Samaritans and the wicked Masoretes, they wasn't homeboys, they wasn't friends, but they had a common enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that saying? The enemy of my enemy?
is my friend.
Yeah.
So they was like, the Samaritans in the north didn't like the Talmudists either, but it's like, yo, we know we hate these Christians, and these Christians are not Nazarites, these Christians are real foreigners. The Greeks coming in want to know, well, why y'all do that? Why y'all sacrifice? Well, what's atonement about? Oh, if I jump in this river, all my sins are forgiven. If I jump in this river, I'll be healed. I don't want you knowing that. This ain't for you, you dirty, uncircumcised. You see how I don't want you knowing that at a certain time of the year, an angel comes down for this pool. You already here got me oppressed. You think I'm gonna tell you about this pool?
Sounds like some Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you though, if you jump in that pool, you're gonna be impotent. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Meanwhile, if my son is sick, I'm gonna make sure my son gets to the pool at that time of the year.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier about the ops. You know, our enemy will send people that look like us, that move like us, that speak like us, to learn about us and ultimately overtake us from within.
Come.
But little do they know, like we talked about before with the Trojan horse, Yahweh pulled that big move on them because now we're in moving like them, talking like them, learning about them, being wise as serpents but harmless as doves.
That's how I want us to move. We can't be out here cussing this and lick my boot and my king is coming to destroy you. No, slow down. Let's keep that in house. We can't tell them everything because now, oh, your king is coming to destroy me. I'm gonna destroy you now. So now you running your mouth popping off. You missed the second coming. I don't want to miss this. I want to be here. That's why I smile. Yeah, okay. I go sit down, supervisor. I go sit down. I want to see my king comes and like, oh, I told you, boy. Y'all out here getting all Brody now, and they got the power to send drones to your house. Ain't the time to get Brody right now. It's the time to move like Wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Well, what's that around your neck? Oh, I don't know. This piece of junk I picked up from flea market. That's how. I ain't telling you that this is how we destroy the nation through this ephod. I'm not telling you that. Let's move on, family. So the Samaritans in their Peshitta means plain speech. Targums was in Babylon. Targums means tradition. So even them in Samaria, you can't run to them and say, see, they have vows in Samaria. It means nothing. They copied off the Masoretes. Let's get another witness out of here.
What this sounds like to me is something a good brother I seen at on a video from another good assembly, that he was saying about the wars. And when all that stuff is going on in Asia and different places, and Taiwan and Japan and China, North Korea, South Korea, it's almost like one of those types of things, a North Korea, South Korea, or Northern Israel, Southern Israel, like whether, on TV, they show that they got beef, but if it ever came to the situation where it was like against the United States or another nation such as that, they're gonna team up with each other and come against you because they technically family, cousins,
all these nations.
And so that's the same way here. It's like, yeah, I can tell my brother I could joke on my brother or my cousin or those northerners up there. I don't really rock with them, but you ain't gonna go up there and mess with them, and they saying the same thing.
You came across the ocean because once you conquered them, where you think they coming?
Yeah,
they coming down Judah.
So they saying, look, well, the northern is looking at the southern like, hey, that's what David was. Well, they doing this, I'm gonna do that. Oh, what y'all doing? Well, we gonna do the same thing. Like, that's what I see is going on here.
If you thinking strategically like they were, it's a good thing. Let's muddy up the text and hide it from them. Let's not tell them our strength, because it was one brother when we first got together and we had a feast down at the library back in 2016, 2017, I think. This one brother stood up and his testimony was his wife was shunning him and thought he was caught up. So he's told her the real name and he was using Yeshua, but he kept using Yeshua in the house. And the name Yeshua softened his wife to start studying. Almost shouted out the building. You tell him ain't no power in Jesus? Jesus ain't never healed nobody. This brother turned his wife around using the name. Man, this is powerful. So we got a couple more here. I'm gonna cut this short. I think the point is made. These consequences
which serve likewise as proofs while the matter is analytically investigated include both the restoration of the true sense of corrupted prophecies and also the accounting for discrepancies of various sorts that have hitherto to prove most vexuous and perplexing to the learned.
So the learned, this is garbage what y'all did.
Between the Old and New Testaments, between parallel passages of the Old Testament, between the Hebrew and the Samaritan copies of the Pentateuch, and between the Hebrew text at large and the translations of it that were made before it was vocalized, namely the first Greek and Syriac version.
What was the first Greek version?
The Masoretic?
The Septuagint. It's like when we go back to the first Greek and the first Syriac, I can't bear to read what y'all wrote.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's saying. The real learned, the ones who held on to Hebrew, who knew the language, when they got this copy that y'all vocalized with these points, they still had the original Septuagint and the first Syriac around. It was like, this is garbage. I can't bear to read this. That's what he's saying, family. That's what he's saying. So I'm going to skip some because I think the point is well made.
This annoys me because I be wanting to know. It's like,
this is for people like you. We have to fast and pray and seek Yah through Hamashiach because all these writings are coming from pagans.
Jeremiah could have wrote more chapters, quote unquote.
Like,
that's the whole, that's the whole point of this. Not to throw the Bible away. You need Messiah. You don't know what we're reading, family.
I was literally just talking about this last night, saying that there ain't no telling how many of our scrolls and texts that have either been destroyed or it's probably up in the Vatican somewhere. And it ties in, it makes a whole lot of sense when your house like, look, man, I'm gonna make another covenant. Not the one I made with y'all fathers, but I'm gonna write it on y'all inward parts. And everybody gonna know me from the least all the way to the greatest. That way, you ain't gotta worry about no books. You ain't gotta worry about all that no more. It's gonna be in you.
You can't lie to me. You can't. Man, that's a perfect. Say that again.
So there's no telling how many records, how many scrolls, how many extra books, how many things that either was destroyed due to our disobedience, and what could be like in the Vatican and these museums and whatever our oppressor owns that we don't have access to on a national level as a people.
Calm.
But praise be to Yah, that's why he said, I'm gonna make a different covenant. I'm gonna make a new covenant with y'all. Not the one I made with y'all fathers, where y'all was writing things down in the book and forgetting it and having to relearn it and all of these things. I'm gonna write the word myself on your inward parts, on your heart and mind. So you can't lie to me, you won't forget it, you won't, it will always be with you. So because a lot of this stuff is, to me, man, I'm gonna be straight up. A lot of this stuff is depressing, man.
Don't be depressed.
Like looking at how far we fell, and Shamar, y'all talk about it all the time, man. We fell so far. It bring it down to tears sometimes, man. Thinking, Father, I'm sorry that I don't even know you.
I started crying when I was saying that scripture in the prayer earlier. I said, hold on, let me get together real quick.
We don't even know our own Father, but we don't know.
But you see the understanding we get in, like when Shamoya broke that thing down at Tuesday night, that was a father in here. That's what I'm saying. Like we should, if we can praise and worship in here, if we have musicians, we'd be tearing these walls down because Yah is with us. You're like that's why I'm like, oh, brothers got all these books. Y'all know some of these assemblies got big assemblies. They got thousands of dollars in there. They buying all these books, and you ain't got the spirit of Masha in your, you know what I mean? You just regurgitating facts. We're getting downloads from Shemayim in here. So don't let it get you down. Don't let it get you down. Like, man, my goodness.
Keep going right
We're
here.
the people of the book. Yeah, in the first place.
In the first place, then about 2 centuries. In the first place, then about 2 centuries after the termination of the Babylonian captivity, and while a considerable number of persons still continued to speak pure Hebrew as their vernacular dialect, Asia, or the East, was invaded by a people who had introduced into the original alphabet the vast improvement of vowel letters.
Read that again out. The people, Asia is an old word for East. Asia was invaded by who?
Asia was invaded by a people who had introduced into the original alphabet the vast improvement of vowel letters.
Who is this people they're talking about, family?
The Greeks.
Alexander. And wait a minute. An improvement. Who gave us the original pictographs?
The Most High.
And you're going to improve on the Most High? Devil is a liar.
And the Jews were, in consequence, forced, in spite of their prejudices, to learn a species of writing that made them acquainted with the use of such letters from the Greeks.
We were forced. The Greeks made us. So the Talmudists, the Masoretes, to give them some credit, they didn't willingly want to use these vowel sounds. But the Greeks made us. And then I guess they found, well, hey, since we got to use it because our oppressors are here, is a perfect opportunity to corrupt the text. But instead of them fasting and praying to Yah, we're sorry, get these Greeks out of here, they just went along with the program. You see how we got to fast and pray? You should have fasted and prayed with prayer. If you know the scripture, Dr. Seminary, Dr. Talmudist, if you know the Tanakh so well, you should have knew that the Greeks were here because of disobedience. You should have knew that let's call a national prayer and a national fast and get these devils out of here. If you knew the Bible so well. But these Masoretes says, well, hey, they're forcing us to use these vows. So now, wicked heart, let's corrupt every passage about this Messiah cat. So people won't think that that cat in Nazareth is really the Messiah.
See, they sound like the church. They sound like the Jakes and those people, because what they're saying, like what they end up doing is, well, we're going to just go along with what the government is telling us to do. Go ahead and get your jabs and your glaze and go ahead and, bring your passport to church. If you don't bring it, then you can't get in. They tell you what to preach. This is what it sounds like. Like,
oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? Like, instead of doing what you said, they just was like, well, we want to keep our little seat of power, that little, be able to sit in the temple and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I see it.
I'm cutting a lot short, families, for the sake of time. We've been going long. Let's pick this up here for the dislike.
For the dislike of older translations shown by the leaders of the Protestant Reformation, it is attempted to account by the corruptions introduced into the Vulgate with a view to countening papal errors.
Yashaya, who's the leader of the Protestant Reformation, Yashaya?
Martin Luther.
Martin Luther. So Martin Luther didn't like the older versions of the Hebrew text. So he's like, I'm going to make a new copy. He wrote the Vulgate. So everything you're getting in church from the Protestants is garbage. It's garbage, family. It says, but surely this afforded them no ground of objection against the Septuagint or the Peshitta, neither of which had been so corrupted. We got two witnesses against the Masoretic text. The Septuagint or the Peshitta had not been corrupted by the time of the Protestant Reformation. So this is another witness that the Peshitta and the Septuagint agrees more often against the Masoretic text. This is the text people think they're reading and getting knowledge and debating and debunking people. It's garbage. Everything is from the pagans, family. I think we're going to jump to our last witness here. I think this if you don't have this document, please download it. Learn the language, learn the history. It's a lot of great information in here. I think that's it. I think the point is made. The point is made. Let's go to our last witness, family. Our last witness. Thank y'all for your patience. I know it's a lot. It's a lot, man. Like Shamar was saying when he built that class, it's like, where do I cut this off at? Like, the people got to know how bad we've been led astray. We've been led astray. We've been run amok. So this is the last witness we're going to bring out, and we're going to move on to the New Testament, Yah willing. This is Google Books has digitized this, so you can go right to Google Books and get this. And this is the Journal of Theological Studies. Y'all see what's going on here? Y'all see what's going on here? Y'all see what's going on here? These people are wicked, man. These people are wicked. So this is the Journal of Theological Studies, Volume 1, and this was published in 1900, in the 1900. And we're just going to pull a couple out of here. Let me see if my notes say. Okay, all praises. All right, so we're just going to read this introduction right here, family. And this is just another witness, because since I'm dark-skinned and I ain't went to seminary, and I ain't got no big congregation. I got Israelites and everybody like, oh, he don't know what he's talking about, and you just trying to push your agenda. Give me sources like I'm giving you sources. And that's all I ask anyone, whether you be a leader, whether you be a layman, just produce sources to support what you're saying. So can you read this first chapter, the intro?
Ancient corrections in the text of the Old Testament. The student of the Old Testament is so much accustomed to the story of the scrupulous care with which the scribes guarded the sacred text.
That's what they tell you in seminary. No, they did a wonderful job. They had so much respect for the Holy Writ. They went all to the text. We just went to 30 verses last week. We got witnesses saying that everything messianic, they changed. But in seminary, you swallow this garbage. The word of God is infallible, inerrant, inspired. And you run with that, and now you're going to come to me with it? I don't think so. Read on.
Counting even its letters, that it comes.
There we go.
It comes as a shock to him to be told that, according to Jewish tradition, he has before him in 18 places of his Hebrew Bible, not the original text, but a text altered by the scribes.
Can you read that sentence one more time?
It's really one whole.
Oh, yeah, it's a big old run on this. Yeah. That's how they wrote it back in the day. Like the sentence was a paragraph. Just start with the end of it. He has before him
In 18 places of his Hebrew Bible, not the original text, but a text altered by the scribes. In these 18 passages, if we may believe a statement which has been frequently made and perhaps never fully disproved, the original reading was altogether displaced from the Masoretic or Manuscript as being unbecoming, or indeed in some cases almost blasphemous. And a scribe's admonition took its place, the memory of the original reading being preserved in tradition only.
So what they're saying is the accusation that these scribes changed the original text has never been disproved. And what they did, verses that they deemed was blasphemy, they changed it. Like, I'm going to go there, but anything they deemed like, nah, this don't read too well. This made God appears to be something he's not. They decided to change it. And it's 18 different passages on record called the Tikkun Sophirim. Tikkun means changes or imitations, and Sophirim is a daughter-rated word for Separim. Separim is writers. Like we say Separ for book, so they're saying Sephirim. Sephirim are writers. So there's 18 passages that's been investigated, and it's like, if they pull all the sources that they can find, they can prove that these scribes changed the text. That's what it's saying here. Now, for the sake of time, because we've been going long, I just want to drop down and show you how all these fragments are being found to investigate this. Right here, they have a collection of midrashim. Let me drop it down. Midrashim or commentary. They're using that, right? And they tell you the rabbis, this is how ancient we are as a people. We got rabbis' names, and these are Israelites going back to the 900s. So let me go for the sake of time. I want to drop down and show you how far back the evidence they pulled to investigate this is.
Quick stop, one more, Rob. How do you say midrash? And
we would say Marash, or Madarash. Madarash or Madrash.
Okay.
We wouldn't use the I. So they got Masoretic works they use to flesh this research out. This is what I wanted y'all to see. Can you read I for his I?
The printed Masorah, the printed Masorah found in rabbinic Bibles.
Who Bibles?
Rabbinic Bibles, the printed Masorah found in Talmudic Bibles.
That's what you got when you got a King James. You got a Masorah Bible, you have a rabbinic Bible. That's what we got in this King James text. And one last thing to bring out, and then I'm going to show you the 18 passages. I want you to see how far back the Masorah was found in Yemen manuscript. You see the triple I there? Can you read that one out?
The Masorah found in Yemen, in the Yemen manuscript.
Well, where's Yemen, family? Where's Yemen?
I just know it's in the Middle East, but I don't know exactly.
It's in Africa. And what part of Africa? What side of Africa? East or west?
East.
East Africa.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely that you Khazars or Masoretes.
Yeah.
This is East Africa, and they found one of the manuscripts in East Africa.
Yeah.
On this point, we gotta keep this thing in context.
Mm-hmm.
You rabbis, if it's before 900, it can't be a Khazar because the Khazarians didn't convert until 920 something. So these are all black, dark-looking Masoretes who I call devils. Yes, devils come in black too. Devils come in black.
That's definitely. I mean, I've seen something watching wrestling like I do, where they always do one show a year in Saudi Arabia, and they had the silver medalist for Saudi Arabia in karate, Tariq something, and he was just looked like a straight brother. I said, see,
we're everywhere.
The Olympics really spoil it for everybody. It'll tell you like who these people really the real original people are. And because like he had on the whole garb and everything, then he took it off, and they were like, this is the Olympic silver medalist for Saudi Arabia. I'm like, this dude looks like he's from New Jersey. Like, I'm like, what in the world? Like
everywhere. There's a term, and if I butcher it up, if anyone knows Spanish, you can correct me. There's a term in Spanish called brachymintio or something, and it was like the Spaniards, the real Spaniards. It's like everywhere they was going, they were finding dark people, and that's what it's like. We gotta dilute this color. And that's when they started raping the women. That's why. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm fluent in Spanish, but that's because I got Cuban in me, so. Y'all didn't know that. It's blanqueamiento.
Go ahead. I'll bring it down.
Which is basically from the Whited Out series. That's why they called it Whited Out from that series, because that's what blanqueamiento means. You're whiting out the melanated people. That's all it is. Blanqueamiento.
Pronounce it again, up.
Blanqueamiento.
Mm-hmm. So they was finding dark people everywhere, in all continents, and it was like, we got to dilute this color to lie. So that's why you got Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, what they dub as white Puerto Ricans. It's because they got whited out. Underneath though, they're that's Bruce Lee Wood. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, Red. That's what they were finding. These Mexicans have straight hair because they got raped. Puerto Ricans got straight hair because they got raped. But underneath that, they're dark as you and I. They're dark as you and I. Thank you for that, So two more things to read here, and we're just gonna wrap this up. Can you read the one number 8 right here?
In the Codex Petropolitanus Babylonicus of the year 916 AD, reproduced in facsimile.
Yeah. So one of his proofs to investigate these 18 passages, he has some fragments coming from the year 916 AD. The Khazars was just being converted about 924. So the Khazars are not Jews, fake Jews yet. Everybody they're running into are dark Jews. And we got fragments all over the Middle East, all over Africa. That's how ancient we are, and that's how long our text has been in different hands of wicked men. Last thing we're going to read here, to the Masoretic.
To the Masoretic list may be added the isolated marginal notes attached to particular passages in biblical manuscript, asserting in each case that the particular passage is Tikkun Sapirum, or one of the 18 Tikkun Sapirum. From the mass of manuscripts, I have singled out a few. Each contains Masorah and is representative of an important or seemingly important class of manuscript.
So this author, he collected all these, him and his team. This was a group effort. They went and scoured all ancient manuscripts they could find to verify, to get to the original. So that's what they did. They lined all these manuscripts up and said, okay, well, these 8 said this, and then the Masoretic says this. Well, obviously, majority rules. That's the plumb line, right? So that's how they fleshed out these 18 passages known as Tikkun Sapirum, that these Masoretic priests altered the translations on purpose. Wow. And this is why you guys are grown where you really can't conversate with people, because either you're going to come off as a know-it-all, you're going to come off as, because everyone wants the truth until they find out their truth ain't the truth. Now, oh, you just making that up. Oh, you think giants really walk the earth? You think spirits got seeds? Don't ask me illogical questions.
You think y'all really love everybody?
Exactly. Give me witnesses. Don't start, because you can't have witnesses. Now you want to belittle and undermine people and condescend. You don't, like you said, God says he could make Abraham's seed come from stones. Riddle me that.
This just shows you the level of wickedness and pride that a lot of course, our people, because it started with us, but a lot of these people have, and the lack of reverence towards the Most High. Because as you've been teaching and Shamar been sprinkling some salt on it, I've just been thinking in my mind, how many times have we read in the text whenever the angel of Yah comes to a prophet and they fall out or they start, man, I'm undone, go with me.
Right.
And I was like, well, why would they say that? And then I started thinking about it. For one, the responsibility of bringing this word to the nation. That's one. Two, I don't know if I can remember all of this, or if I'm going to be able to write this exactly the way Yah wants us, or is commanding me to do it.
Right.
So that's why you'll see, who is it? Ezekiel, when he took the hot coal and put it on his
tongue. Yeah.
So now my words are in your mouth and all your sins are forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see these Pharisees and scribes, they pretty much just, oh, well, we're going to put what we want to.
Had no fear.
No fear.
Ezekiel had enough fear, like, I'm a man of unclean lips.
Yeah.
How I'm going to speak this to your people, y'all? And you cocky Masoretes like, I'll change it. Like, seriously?
Man.
I grew up even, and that's why I said everything in church wasn't wrong. I grew up in Christianity where you didn't set your Bible on the floor. If you was in church and someone saw you set a Bible on the floor, then you get popped in the head.
I remember
Pick
that.
that Bible up.
I had something. Yeah, I remember that.
Then I get grown. Then I hear brothers bragging about how they was ripping pages out the Bible to roll joints up. And I'm like, that ain't funny. Dude, you think you cool? I said, that ain't funny. Now, I ain't going to, I'm a heathen with them, but I had to, like, that's why I was raised. Like, that ain't funny, dude. That's the Holy Bible. Mm-hmm. Now you get these Nazarenes like, I change the word. I undermine the Messiah. That's heavy. No fear of the Most High.
Mm-hmm. I even still feel weird, like, about stuff like that. Like, I won't even set, like, my wallet on. I ain't saying it's right. I'm just saying, yeah.
It took me a while to get comfortable marking up my Bible.
I just
I'll mark it up.
Speaking to myself few days, maybe the day before yesterday, because all these other books that we purchased and all of that stuff, and I was about to set it on top of the Septuagint, and I was like, then I ended up doing, I was like, well, the words is in here now. So.
That's how reverence we got for our Father's word, because when you go back to Nehemiah, and when they finally got the second temple up, and Nehemiah and Ezra is reading to the people, it says that when Ezra, or I think it was Ezra, when Ezra opened up the book, it said the people stood up. He didn't have to tell them. They were people stood up.
Yeah.
Like he found the book.
Cause that junk is like, I'm telling, it's like you up there and then
the book opens up.
And then everybody.
That's the
that's the holy
oracle over there, bro.
You read from the holy oracle. Get on your feet. This ain't no fairy tale book.
Because the Most High is here too. When 2 or 3 are gathered, like you gotta.
And what does he say? Gird up your loins like a man.
Imagine that thousands of people, and then you open up, and then everybody. You know how it sound when your seat moves like that, and all at the same. That's tough.
And he finished the prayer. Amen. They said when they finished the temple and we started praising and worshiping, it sounded like war to the other nation. They're like, what's going on? The Israelites got their temple, and that's where we coming back to. And then you said, I seen a great and exceeding army standing on their feet. That's what these nations are fearing. That's why you got these agents want to run their social media and undermine this. I don't think God is concerned about no port, but I don't think your European is anywhere in these scriptures. That's what they fearing, family. We don't gotta be all with a bunch of AKs. No, God is with us. And we're about to go to war with you wicked people. Brother, mom, dad, because when it's like football. They teach you whoever on the other side of the line, you run through them. I don't care who it is. If you're on that side of the line when my shot comes, it's too late. I don't want to hear all this crying. I got one son that I brought to this world. Son, I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you, son. Soon your house shot brought this whistle is on the pop. That's what we're coming to. That's why you got to get in your mind now. You can't be soft-hearted. Well, mom, that's my mom over there. She made her bed. You was wearing fringes. You were sending them texts. Mom will stop all that crying because soon he get a signal. It's on the pop. That's where we at. So I got this right off of this came right off of Wikipedia. That's why it's like, how many of you, full disclosure, be honest, how many of you who was when you was going to church, you ever heard the pastor talk about these 18 passages, Tikkun Sophirim?
Not once. I ain't never heard. Online, offline, never.
I have never. But make
None
sure.
of them.
What'd you say, Al?
I said none of them.
None of them, right? But you wholly representing the Most High, and you love the people. And if you've been seminary trained, there's no way that if your seminary is worth any kind of salt, y'all had to go over this. 18 passages called, and I printed this other sister, I left it at the house. This other, not sister, I don't know who she is, but I found it when I was doing the research. This woman did her whole seminary thesis on the Tikkun Sophirim. And I printed out her whole thesis. So she has the 18 passages that she goes over. So it's not a big secret in seminary circles, but I don't hear Jake's, Creflo, Dr. Seminaries, locals, or national. I don't hear none of them even mention this. Now we got some people, Israelites, getting all charismatic. Let's get the spirit in here. And I got the word of prophecy. Did you quote attainment prophecy? This is when, and now I'm going a little bit, this is what I think. This is Brother Abijah. This ain't no Torah. I'm thinking you just got a word of prophecy from the Most High, but he didn't tell you that was a corrupted text you was reading from. You see how deep this goes? So now you have to go back and revisit everything you taught once you realize that the text is corrupted. You see how deep this goes? You see how people don't want to go this level? I know his name is Yahuwah, and that's all. I know it's Yahusha and Usha, and I'm happy here. That's not how I'm built. I want to go like Frank Lucas. I'm going to the root. I'm going to the root. So you can pull this off Wikipedia, and these are 18, matter of fact, let me do it. These are the 18 verses that are labeled as Tikkun Sephirim. 18 verses.
All right, you got some time. I just switched it. Nice.
We do got, we got some out. Shemaria, these are the ones he brought, I believe. So I'm gonna take you to, and you know, Wikipedia is not no great scholarship. So like I said, I just introduced things for y'all to have a springboard and y'all can take it further. But it's my thing, what I'm harping on, family, that this is not a secret in seminary circles. And why haven't these seminary preachers talked about this? Why haven't these seminary preachers talked about this? So you can go right here to Wikipedia. Oh, this is the one I got right here. Let me pull this up for y'all. So this is right on Wiki, right? And y'all know Wiki is tricky, right? It can be edited by people. I just want to show you that's where I got the image from. And it lists the 18 verses. And let me try to make this bigger. It gives it to you in Hebrew, in the modern Hebrew, I should say. And it tells you what the like Genesis 18:22, and it says, and Abraham yet stood before the Most High, and they think they changed it from, it should have been, they're thinking, and Yah stood before Abraham. And the reason why they think the Masoretes changed it, because they think it's blasphemy to have Yah standing before Abraham. So they changed it to read that Abraham stood before Yah. So
I can see that. That's what I was reading some of them when you had the other picture up, and that's just what, like, stuff like that is. I'm trying to see why would they change certain things, and those ones where, like, we'll keep going, and I'll come back.
Well, for the sake of time, I'm not going to run through all 18, but it don't matter why they changed them, because what the Deuteronomy 4:2 says.
Yeah, I get that. I was just trying to think, like, what you know, their agenda behind it. Like right here, for the iniquity that he knows that his sons were cursing themselves. No, we're not cursing ourselves. It makes sense that it says one of these two were it says for the iniquity that he knows that his sons were cursing me or cursing him. Meaning the Most High, right? Right. Like, they keep anything related to something with what's going on with the Most High. It seems like they changed taking it out.
They changed it. Let's go to this one right here, 2 Samuel 16:12. 2 Samuel 16:12, in the Masoretic, I think this first column is Masoretic. Yeah, This one right here is the Masoretic. The Masoretic says, can you read it out?
Maybe Adonai, or the Most High, will look upon my eye.
And they're thinking that the original was,
look upon my trouble with his eyes, or with his eye.
So it seems like it's minor, but like we brought out last week, those 30 verses that we brought out last week, now you got 18. So we got, and then Nariah gave us one today. So I think I got 33, the one you gave today, 33. Here's 18, so I say 20. That's 53 verses that's been altered. But the seminary, if you bring this to a seminary preacher for his pride, he can be, yeah, we do that, we study that. It's minor stuff though. And like now you can say you're a lie because I got them and it's not minor changes. They changed the context of the verse.
Yeah, like the next one.
Where you at?
You have to scroll to see what verse, but every man to his tents.
2 Samuel 20:1.
It says every man to his tents, and then 1 Kings and Chronicles says, and Israel went to his tents, and it says to his gods. But when you put it back in Hebrew, it would say to his Elohim, meaning to his judges and rulers
of his
tribe.
tribe.
And that if you left it as it was in the Bible we have to say to his gods, and they seen that it was people from Israel, then they would have had a better understanding, and then it would have made more sense with Ruth's situation.
Right, you can see La Elohim right here. La
Elohim.
Yep. They turned this into a thing. So you see gods right here. Every man to his gods, and they changed it. What's this word over here?
That's crazy because there it is right there. I didn't even know that, but I was like, it's probably Elohim. And
you'll learn all the scripts just by going. That's how I did. Like I didn't want to learn this script. Like once I found the truth, I stopped this script. I'm not learning this garbage.
The only way I know some of the characters is like you said, just some of the translation, like that one that looks like the little house thing. That's a ha.
That's the ha.
The main character. That's a a. Or
Let's do another one. I hope y'all online can catch what we're doing. Here's Ezekiel 8 and 17. This is the so-called block script. This center right here is what the Masoretic text say in your Bible. And they look, they put the branch to their nose, and then this is what they think the original says. They put the branch to my nose, and this is the Most High talking. And to put the branch to my nose, it would be like you're causing an offense because you got to put it back in the Hebrew. You put the branch to someone's nose, like you're like forearming someone, stiff-arming someone. So the Most High is saying, with y'all idolatry, y'all put a branch to my nose. You know?
And see, every time they do that, it's saying like it's to their own selves. Yeah. And that doesn't make any sense.
Right. And look, they put the branch to their nose. It don't make sense. Hallelujah. So these are 18 verses, family, that's known as, in our tongue, we would say Takwana Saparum. Takwana Saparum, changes of the scribes. But if you Google it on Google, it's going to be, Takune Safirum. And it's 18 changes. And we went through all this, family. We go through all this research to show you have to come back to the Most High by his Son. You can't be studying by yourself. Now you're on an island and you done locked yourself in your house and now you got some manifestation from the Masoretic text. You can't be just sucking up your rabbi, your moray, because they done did movies. He got 15 books. He got a book of, and he I don't care what book he got. It's not original. So we got all kind of stuff going on inside Israel. People becoming groupies and starstruck. And now you can't say nothing against their moray because now you're a hater. Now you're jealous. How you know? I don't have time for that, family. Just give me witnesses and let's sit down like men and hash this out. But when you puffed up with pride, now you don't want to even examine anything that may be contradicting what you think is the truth.
So what Marah is alluding to is we understand that sometimes you might need to separate yourself for a season because some of the prophets did. They had to fast like Ezra. The book of 2nd Ezra, he separated himself for a season so he can hear clearly what Uriel the angel was messaging or relaying to him from the Father. But eventually this is all to edify the body, the nation. So whatever the Father is saying to you is not just for you per se. It's so you can edify everyone else at the appointed time and his will for it to be done. So if you're out on an island by yourself consistently and all you're doing is in your own head and your own thoughts, when you're watching these videos online and you're taking your own notes with your own understanding and not getting perspective with context, it can be a snare not only to you, but let's say with that doctrine that you've acquired, you go and speak to somebody else. Now you're blind leading the blind. So
that's why I have no qualms about presenting topics that I think I done came to some understanding, because that's why I tell y'all, let me see what y'all think. Let me see how you process this, because we all think differently. Some of us are more analytical, so we do better at math. Some of us are more creative, so we do better at English. So when we come together, it shouldn't be no, here's how I see it, here's how I see it. Let me see if we can research this thing together. And that's why I believe the plumb line is so deep. SELAH, I'm about to use that pagan term. I believe that the plumb line is so fair because the plumb line doesn't give anyone an advantage. Brother, you think Joseph is the daddy? Produce your witnesses. But just because you're producing verses, now we gotta vet we're gonna interrogate your witnesses. And that's the whole point of this class. You just can't start trading off verses from a corrupted Bible. And that's what a lot of these brothers, Israelites and Christians are doing. I'm giving you Bible. I am just giving you book. No, you're giving me the Masoret's book who's been chopped up and edited. Come back to Yah and come back to the Son. Hallelujah.
It just sounds like they trying to exalt themselves the way Hasatan did.
Nobody wants to be checked. No one wants to. That's why I'm not embarrassed about anything. When Shemaiah brought to me about his research with the head coverings, Shemaiah, what I said?
You said you was gonna take a look and study it for yourself, but it sounds like so far before you studied that it was correct. And then you went and studied it for yourself, and then you did further research, and you came on here and did a teaching and said that you was wrong.
I had to correct that thing immediately because I had taught it for like 2 years that, hey, sisters need to be covered up. And then his witnesses with more witnesses, it was like, yeah, like we don't cover our crowns in Israel. And one brother wanted to sit down with me, but our schedules never allowed. But his take was the Hebrew word Magabah, he says it means a hill. And I'm like, yeah, it does mean a hill, but then you got to look at the context because this right here could be a hill. It's protruding. Just because it's saying a hill, he's thinking a hill like this. Like they built a ramp and made a hill on top of their heads. But context, that's why you got to come back to a Hebrew. Contextually, Hebraically, these right here are hills because they have death. You see that? So me and him never had the chance to build, but I was willing to sit down with him and say, let me see what you're saying. And a lot of brothers, they just get hooked on their doctrines and hooked on their positions, and they don't know what these characters, they don't know what the pictographs mean. They don't know the text they're reading is corrupted, and now they just, boom, caught up in pride and emotions. So lastly, family, I'm gonna open up the floor for questions, comments, and concern. This is another witness about the emendations or changes of the scribes. This woman, where's her name at? She did her Carmel McCarthy. She's a woman. She did her thesis at this University of Zurich back in 1981. And what I did, I went and printed this whole thing out. I think it came up to 380 pages. And I had the whole thing printed out in hard copy. And she's another witness. And if you respect their educational system, this is from a university, and she's a PhD student. And she's bearing witness what she found during her research. And just to give you one more witness, is the screen still sharing? Let me see something she brings out. Comments here. Sometimes they don't act right though. Oh, this is online. Why is it marked up? See how it's weird? Like this is online. Should have my edits on here. So let me see.
That's a thing to the cloud, maybe.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. Because this is straight from the cloud. I do have a digital copy. So she's mentioning some of the rabbis. I want to get to some of the verses. You see, she got the same verses here: Zechariah 2:12, Genesis 18:22, 1 Samuel. She has the same verses. This is crazy. This is blowing my mind. It has my edits on here. Let me go to something here. This is just freaking me out, y'all. So, man, I'm trying to go straight to an example that's like on the surface. We don't got to go through a lot. All right, did we go over? Let's go over. Let's just stop right here. Seeing the face of God or appearing before God. Exodus 23:15 parallels. Let's go to 2 Samuel 12. We're going to do these 4 and see what happens. Let's go to 2 Samuel 12 and 9. And let's see what happens with these verses.
You said let's go to
2 Samuel 12 and 9. Let's see what she's trying to bring out. So that God no longer the direct agent or object in a phrase. And that's what you brought out. It's like they were saying everything that was against Yah, they changed it, that he wasn't the direct object of the phrase anymore. Samuel 12, verse 9. Shema, read.
Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of Yahweh to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. So,
can you check that in the Septuagint? Let's see what she's trying to bring out.
Does it matter which one?
No, it don't matter.
It's the 2 Kings, right?
Yeah, it's 2 Kings in the Septuagint. Further textual changes so that God is no longer the direct agent of object and phrase. There's more witnesses, family, that you just can't open the Bible up and start reading and quoting, and now you have the word of God. That's not. It's not the truth, family. You have to seek Yah in these last days.
Shema.
Read.
Why have you disparaged the word of Yahweh by doing evil in his eyes? Uriah the Hittite, you struck him down with the sword, and you took his wife for yourself to be your own wife. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites.
Take it from the top again.
Verse 9. Why have you disparaged the word of Yah by doing evil in his eyes? Uriah the Hittite, you struck him down with the sword, and you took his wife for yourself to be your own wife.
So the Masoretic text, it's strayed, but this is when seminary say, oh, it said the same things, but it's weaker in the Masoretic text. The Masoretic text is saying, wherefore hast thou despised the commandments of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Wherefore that's saying you have despised the word of the Most High to do evil in his eyes. So they would say, well, it's saying the same things, just different languages. But again, different words, different sounds have different effect. It's not the same effect. I'm getting tired, so I'm just going to read some of her introduction, I guess. But you could download this as a PDF when you get there. And I started marking this up for myself. So I'm gonna read this because some of these words are too problematic, and I'm a little familiar with this It's been like a year. I had to put it up, but I went through like the first 2 chapters. So this is chapter 1 of her thesis, and this is Carmel McCarthy. She's a PhD student, and she did her thesis on the Tikkun Sephirim, with the 18 passages, 18 changes that the Masoretes made in the Bible. The problem stated, some moderate and contemporary opinions. Exploring the maze of critical apparatus attached to either BHS or to BHK, these are or some of the sources, the neophyte will inevitably stumble across the Tikkun Sephirim. This, the introductory section tells him, is a reference to one of the Tikkun Sephirim, or imitation of the scribes. He will notice that where the critical apparatus of either edition uses the siglum, it also supplies an alternative reading, indicating what the original text contained before it underwent correction. At least this is the explanation furnished by some German in his book, Alternate Testaments, which sets out to be an introduction to BHK. So these changes are known, they're on record in seminary circles. Thus, Tikkun Sephirim referred to a list of 18 passages in the Masoretic text which have undergone imitation for theological motives. This is the usual explanation given, and at first sight, it would seem to provide invaluable information for the textual critic. However, closer examination reveals a number of problems. The more recent and fuller Masoretic lists do not always agree on the number of passages, nor on the passages listed. So, we're going to stop here. What she's saying is, once you really open the rabbit hole, Pandora's box, it's more than 18 passages. And then, depending on who you ask, the list of passages may be different. The point we're driving home, family, you cannot open up a Bible and start thinking you have understanding and think now you're going to debate and debunk the Hebrew Israelites. Or if you're an Israelite, you can't think that you got some kind of position on baptism, you got some kind of position on the virgin birth, because now you got a King James in front of you. Now you got a Septuagint in front of you. Now you got the Peshitta in front of you. Now you got the Targums in front of you. You can't rely on none of these things, because even though the original may have been written by righteous Israelites, they have been published, reprinted, reproduced by foreigners, by strangers. So this has been Textual Criticism Part 3. We just went over the Old Testament once again, showing you that you got to rely on the Most High for understanding. And with that, I yield. Thank you for your time and patience. Any questions, comments, or concerns about what we went over today?
Oh, well, yeah.
We're behind enemy lines, family. None of us are scholars. There are no scholars. I don't care what these brothers tell you. I don't care how many books they don't publish. I don't care what they have done. There's no scholars left. If you're not spending your money to go across seas and digging for yourselves, and you're translating for yourself, we are all relying on the work of another man. That's just the facts of the case. It's just that when we get together, those of us who've been fasting and praying, we're seeing the Most High break down what the verse is saying. Because I'm not special, it's happening to each and every one of you, and you'll be studying, and you're going to hear a voice that says, you see that? That don't make sense. And you're going to go back. That's the most, let's go to John 14. Let's end with John 14. John, because I kept trying to allude to it Tuesday night, and I was like, I misquoted where it was at. Let's end with John 14, verse 21.
I read this last night, so this is Spirit bearing witness. I just read it the last night.
This verse is proof that none of us are super smart. If you're trying to learn with your intellect, you got the cart before the horse. You need to come before the Most High with a humble heart, a repentant heart, and ask the Most High to give you understanding. And John 14:21 is going to show you how we get this understanding.
The book of John, chapter 14, verse 21. Shema.
Shema, read.
He that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. And I will love him and will manifest myself to him.
Hamashiach is saying, if you keep my commandments, you're going to be loved of my Father, and I will love you, and then I'm going to manifest myself to you. If you use one of the lexicons and look that word manifest up in the lexicon, you're going to get the Greek word. And that Greek word is going to go back to a word, and you look at that definition. Hamashiach is saying, if you're following commandments the best you can, I'm going to reveal myself to you. I'm going to talk to you. So that's how all of us brothers, we're not super smart. We didn't go to Harvard. We didn't go to Yale, no seminary. We have a humble heart, and we're keeping the law the best we can. And it's the Son, it's Hamashiach revealing these things to us in these last days. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right. All praise be to Abba. Yasha, you had something?
And just to add on to this defiled bread that's in the Masoretic text, I was on a phone call last night and someone had a question regarding Psalms 55 and 20. And this is out of the King James. He hath put forth his hands against such as to be.
Let me get what you are.
Oh.
55 and 8.
20.
Come on.
He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. And when the question was asked, it's like, I know this is wrong. So what is the scripture really supposed to say? What are they saying? I was like, let's see what it says in the Septuagint. The Septuagint, it said he hath reached forth his hand for retribution. They have profaned his covenant. So it was just clear of what's happening here. There's the Most High reaching out, trying to bring people back in the right stand, or beckoning folks to come back to him, and they're profaning the covenant. He hasn't broken his covenant. His covenant is still intact. We still his people. We just got to seek righteousness and seek after him, seek after his Son.
Oh, praise. So that's another. I didn't have this one listed. That's another. Let me see. That's another adulteration. All praises for that. Psalms. Yeah, I didn't have this one. So now my list is up to 34. Because Nariah, you gave out Isaiah 13 today. Now we got Psalms 55 is corrupted. And it's passages like these that people say, see, we're under a new covenant because that Mosaic covenant has been broke. And when you read it from a corrupted text, I get it. It does sound like it's saying that. Because one brother a couple of years ago, he came to us, well, one sister brought it out. One sister brought the same thing out in Zechariah, where Zechariah, if you read it in the Masoretic, is saying that I've broken my covenant with my people. And I was like, already the spirit was like, well, Zechariah is contradicting himself, because I think when you go to Zechariah 9, he's speaking for Yah, and Yah is saying, I will never break my covenant. But then when you get to Zechariah 10, it's saying, I have broken my covenant. So these are textual criticisms where you have to take a step back and like, whoa, either Zechariah is a false prophet or this text has been altered. And then when you go back and put it in the Hebrew, he's not breaking his covenant. In the Hebrew, he says, I'm going to frustrate the covenant. Meaning right now, you and I are still in covenant with Yah. It's just because of our ancestors, we're getting the hard part of the covenant. Trayvon Martin, that's part of the covenant. You and I being homeless, you and I being called niggers and stuff, being followed around in traffic, that's part of the covenant. But you read it in the Masoretic text, like I just read it here, and you just run with it, it's going to be like, yeah, he broke that covenant with y'all on Mount Sinai, and now we're under a new covenant. That's good Bible. That's good Bible. No, it's not good Bible. It's not good Bible. Thank you for that, Al. All praises. All praises. Anyone else? Anything else? Anything else? All right, fam. I thank y'all so much for your time and your attention.